two brothers and gamers that have been playing games since the early 1980s. Combined, they have over 65 years experience. Join them each week as they discuss and rant about gaming and entertainment news. This is Generation X Gaming.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another week, another episode of Generation X Gaming, the weekly podcast that goes over a few of the top stories from the past week, and we rant along the way. I'm your host, 30 and Still Gaming, and join me in each every single week when his computer is not running like a hamster, Sarge McCluskey. What's going on, Sarge? Your camera is
the hamster died. Yeah, I get a gerbil.
Yeah, your gerbil. Well, your camera's a little, stuttery, but it's okay. On today's show, Sarge, on today's show. We're going to be talking about PlayStation 5 is getting a cloud streaming. We're going to also get a detachable disk drive. We'll talk about that a little bit. King Kong has a game announcement. Hogwarts Legacy, we're going to talk about the graphic modes that are coming out for that, and then also the leaked data or from the art book that came out. Talk about the game a little bit. We're going to talk about Monster Hunter, but also the resolution and stuff that you'll be playing the game at, the specs of that. Big news, Sarge. Big news. Ubisoft claims that Beyond Good and Evil 2 is still in development. So we're going to talk about that in just a second. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 is officially the best-selling game, and we'll tell you what number 2 and 3 are. We're going to talk about Scalebound just for a smidgen. We're going to talk about Steam had a couple delays of dates for certain games, and we'll tell you why that happened as well. We're going to talk about Google and NVIDIA concerned about Microsoft's Activision deal. Also, the EU is trying to block or object Microsoft Activision purchase as well. We'll have that little conversation. On top of that, we're going to talk a little bit about Dungeons & Dragons, about their subscription service, Sarge, and how much they're charging. We're going to talk about Skull and Bones. Not that anyone cares, but we're like, why is Skull and Bones still coming out? We have an article. That tells you exactly why it's coming out. Because they owe someone money, right? That's basically it. They owe the government some money. It's either that, they break their legs, or they release Skull and Bones. That's basically what's happening there. We're going to talk about the breaking news of Microsoft laying off 10,000 people and how it's affecting 343, Bethesda, and the Coalition as well. I think that's about it. Oh, Rockstar, blessed the man, had 6,000 hours on Stadia. Rest your soul, Stadia. Pour one out for Stadia, guys. It's over. It died yesterday at 12 o'clock. It was done. I think that's it. Oh, I forgot to tell you, Sarge. I just thought about it when your computer crashed. Suicide Squads had a leaked document as well, okay? And it proves, potentially with a grain of salt, it proves that it's a games of service game. It's a games of service game. So we'll talk about that as well. So, as always, we always talk about what we've been playing, so let's hit it, what we've been playing. All right, Sarge, what have you been playing this past week?
Two things. That's it.
Okay.
Two things. Everyone already knows Division 2 because you see me on there every day. And then because of all the turmoil going on with WotC, Hasbro, and the community, I'm playing Baldur's Gate 1 all the way through on.
Did you start
on Game Pass? Yeah.
Oh, nice. You already started playing?
Yeah. I already started playing. Yep.
How's that going?
Back in the day, you surprising enough, you could play that multiplayer. Somebody could play a character in your game.
Can you?
But
you can't do that now.
I don't know if you can do it on the Xbox. I haven't even tried.
Do you want me to download it to see?
No, I don't think you should, because you'd have to understand how to play the whole game, and that takes at least a few days. And I don't think you have the time, honestly.
Okay. So
I'll look into it. But if we were going to play a multiplayer game like that, that's too far back, man.
Well, that'd
be like playing Champions of Norath. If anybody else is in the chat that knows what that game is,
are you
same type of premise?
Are you going to be picking up Monster Hunter Rise is coming out at the end of this month. Actually, it's coming out tomorrow. Yeah, it comes out tomorrow. Not the end of this month. Tomorrow. Are you going to download that and play? I know Brain wanted to play, or he's playing.
I think he sent me a gift. I saw something in my chat feed on the Xbox.
A gift. It's free on Game Pass.
No, but he sent me something else. I think it's something. It's something. It has something to do with that game.
Stop buying people games that are on Game Pass.
No, I think it has something to do with that game. With that game, though, I think it's something else.
Yeah, no. Brainchild is a good friend, and he's very generous. He's bought me quite a few games, and I feel bad because I did play Fallout 76 when he gifted that to me, but I didn't play Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I still have it, and then. Did you gift me Cyberpunk as well? I think you gifted me Cyberpunk as well, and I haven't played that as either. No, you didn't. You didn't give me Monster Hunter Iceborne. No, that was TNT. That was TNT did that.
TNT,
right? That's who it was. I haven't seen him since he gifted me that. I forget who. So I've been really enjoying. Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga Legos, right? So every week I've been playing 2 episodes. A couple weeks ago I played episode 1 and 2, then I played 3 and 4, then I played 5 and 6, or 5, and then I played 6 and 7, right? So I just started, and I was dreading to play the new sequel trilogy inside Lego Star Wars Skywalker Saga, because even when I played with my son, I never got to that section. I only played the prequels and I played the original. But I never went into, so it was like brand new to me. And I actually liked it. It was actually well done boards. Now, I know they had the episode 7 years ago. I think it was like 2015, 16 when it came out. And I enjoyed it. How come the chat's not on the screen? How come chat's not here? Chat, where are you? So I'm really enjoying the Lego Skywalker Saga stuff. Let's see here. Is that the YouTube live chat? There it is. There's chat. Hey, chat. There you are. I see you now. So, yeah. So I'm really enjoying Lego's Skywalker Saga. It's a really, really good game. And we started talking the other night of like, what's the next brand, Sarge, of Legos game that's coming out? Which one do you think? Krebsy said Transformers, right? I said Avatar. I said Avatar is the next Legos game that they're going to make and put out. What's your guess? Obviously, we have no idea. This is literally just a guess.
I actually think it would be good if they had it like a based on a really popular video game, like maybe like a Cyberpunk.
Oh,
or like
that'd be interesting.
A Fallout.
But they
would cross brand.
Didn't somebody make a modder made a Legos Fallout game? I think about like 3-4 years ago. I could have sworn I remember showing that on the stream at some point. I think they created a Lego Fallout game if I remember correctly. Somebody modded or made a Fallout game in Lego form. That would actually be pretty cool. I think it'd be interesting. Other than the Lego game that I've been playing Battlefield 2042 again, and I'm having a lot of fun with that game. I'm playing solo all the time because nobody wants to play with me. I have no friends. So I've been playing the game by myself.
I can't do it, bro. Sorry.
It's a fun time, Sarge. You would have a lot of fun.
I'm sure it is.
You can tell the people that are playing now because of Game Pass, people have been playing long enough, and they're throwing down ammo, they're reviving people. It's actually really hard, if you're a medic, to try to get the revives because everyone's reviving everyone now, right? So,
well, that's because anyone can be a medic.
Right.
Okay. This is, you know what? I'm not even going to start that train. I'm not even going to start it.
Sarge just became a member. Thank you, Sarge, for becoming a member. Appreciate that.
I was a member on Twitch. I had to cancel. That.
Well, welcome over here to YouTube.
Yeah.
I don't know. Look, I love Battlefield. I've been playing every single Battlefield.
I do too.
Minus Hardline. even though it's so buttery smooth, Sarge. Hardline, buttery smooth. So good.
Buttery smooth. Don't get enough of it.
Yeah, buttery smooth. But I actually, I hate to say this, I'm actually turning the corner here. I'm actually really enjoying Battlefield 2042. But here we are, a year and 4 months after the game came out. And obviously they have a way to go because there's still moments, Sarge, when I shoot somebody, okay? When I shoot somebody and it doesn't hit. It doesn't detect it. I shot someone multiple times, like in the neck head area, nothing. I was like, what? And the guy just like tapped me. I was like, oh. I've had other times where my gun, like all of a sudden, this is a new glitch I found, okay? I pull the trigger, no bullets come out. And it's not because I have to reload. It's fully loaded. I pull the trigger, no bullets, nothing. You just staring at the guy, pointing a gun at him, but you're not shooting. I was like, oh, this is not good. So
is your latency bad? Is something wrong with your
something
wrong with your Xbox?
Nope, it just happens every once in a while. It's a thing that happens. It's like one of those Bethesda bugs. You're just like, it's a thing. It just happens, right?
It's a thing that happens. Your gun not shooting in a first-person shooter.
Yeah,
that's a thing.
Has anybody else had that happen to them in Battlefield if you're playing? Right? I am a Rockstar with iron sights. I had some really good shots the other night. I mean, I'm no Dr. Disrespect or anything like that, but I don't get this, Sarge. I put a scope on. I'm like, take my sweet time. And I'm like, boom, and I miss, right? I bring iron sights up, 300 yards, pow, dead, headshot. I'm like, how do I do it? I don't know. I played so much Battlefield 1.
I think the hitbox is broken inside the scope.
Maybe
that's what it is. That's what it sounds like.
To me,
it sounds like your hitbox is bigger with iron sights than it is without.
I'll tell you what,
think that's just to help people out.
I think honestly, here's my theory, Sarge. When you look through scopes, there's bullet drop. When you do iron sights, I don't think there's bullet drop. I think it's just straight shot because they're like, who's going to shoot 300 yards with iron sights? This guy right here.
This guy.
Who's got two thumbs and can shoot with iron sights? Hey, this guy right here. So yeah, I'm playing Battlefield, and then the last game I'm playing is Division, and I just leveled up my Stoner in Division 2. And I'm waiting to get the Chameleon up. I have to upgrade it one more time. So probably next week we'll get onto that. So that's everything I'll be playing. This week upcoming, we'll be playing Monster Hunter Rise. We'll also be playing Power Wash Simulator at the end of this month. They're coming out with a Tomb Raider DLC, Sarge. Let me show you how fun this looks. Okay, I know people think I'm joking here. I am not joking. I am a Power Wash fan, okay? This is the Tomb Raider DLC that's coming out here.
I'm sorry. I'm hearing two different things at the same time. You're saying Power Wash Simulator, and then you're saying Tomb Raider.
That's correct.
Is that the same thing?
Yes, Power Wash Simulator Tomb Raider DLC. That's correct.
I don't understand. You're going to power wash ancient ruins? I don't understand how that works.
I'm power washing.
What are you talking about?
The mansion that Laura Croft lives in. It's her museum.
Right.
And everything that she's collected. You get to do her car, her ATV, her trailer, her mansion, the stuff inside the mansion.
Being serious?
I'm being dead serious, Sarge. It's playing right now on screen. Yeah, I'm being dead serious. More fun. There's the mansion. You're gonna clean the mansion. Okay. There's the dinosaurs and stuff on the inside.
I don't know what you're. I don't know how to feel about that. It just seems. It seems weird. Like, what was the phone call? Did you have to call who makes Tomb Raider? Like, who?
I don't know.
Did they have to call them and say, "Hey, can we use the likeness of your mansion in our Power Wash?" Like, what is the phone call like for that?
Not only, Sarge, is it coming to Game Pass with the DLC, but it's coming to PlayStation for the first time and the Nintendo Switch. So now more people will get to enjoy Power Wash Simulator.
Everyone's going to be real excited.
It's ecstatic. This game is, this game won. This was the #1 simulator game last year. More people played this simulator game than any other simulator game that's out there.
And yet everyone's house still looks like a pigsty.
That's right, because they were pressure washing.
Everyone's completely good playing a cleaning game online simulator.
Yeah.
But when it comes to taking care of your own 700 square foot block, you're out.
Yeah, so it's free DLC. If you bought Power Wash or you played it on Game Pass, it's free DLC, right? So on Game Pass, it's already free, and then this is added on for free. And it comes out for PlayStation, so if you buy PlayStation, it comes free with it. So if you buy the PlayStation version, then it also comes with it. The DLC is free regardless. So I haven't power washed anything in 15 years. That's what George says.
I wash myself with the rag on a stick.
Yeah, so Power Wash Simulator coming out at the end of this month. We'll be playing that as well. And then
it seems strange.
Just 3 weeks, Sarge. In 3 weeks, we're gonna be playing Hogwarts Legacy, and I'm gonna start.
Are we?
Yeah. Actually, I'm not gonna start with Hogwarts Legacy. I lied.
Are we?
We're gonna. Yeah, we are. It's official. It's out. It's ready to come out. It's ready to go. It's ready.
Like there's like actual commercial that says it's coming out this.
Yeah, they have buses in London right now with advertisements on it that there's like a whole
all right, I believe you.
Yeah,
if there's buses with a date on it.
Yeah, there's a whole campaign and everything. Yeah, there's a whole campaign. There's 5 buses, one of each house, and then one for the game. And there's a game going on right now. If you could figure out the bus routes or whatever it is, like someone wins a PlayStation or some crap. I don't know.
Figure out the bus.
Yeah, something to do with the bus routes. Only people in London get to participate in it. So.
Oh well, that sounds fair.
Yeah, well, where else are you getting double-decker buses?
I'm only kidding. I don't care. I think it's awesome that London gets to do a little promotion for their own game. It's fine.
George wants to know: can we get a stream of you playing that dressed as Lara Croft? No, you will not see me dressed up in any way, shape, or form as Lara Croft. Now,
you don't have coochie cutters like that.
Now I'll tell you what though,
you don't have those kind of shorts.
If you ever see those the deep fake stuff, George, that they have on the internet right now, like anyone can be anybody. If I can find out a way to get that, I will put myself as Lara Croft on stream. Like it won't be me, but it will be me, right? It's that VR, like the what do they call that? Where the
augmented reality? Augmented reality.
I forget what it is. Deep fake works. Yeah, is that what it's called? Deep fake works. So let's go to the top story, Sarge. Let's go with the first top story. All right. First story, PlayStation 5 to get cloud streaming functionality and Discord integration with firmware update 7.0. So the firmware for PlayStation 5 will soon be updated to 7.0, which includes some major new features, according to insider Tom Henderson. The most surprising one is that PlayStation 5 players will be able to stream their PlayStation 5 games instead of downloading them to save space on their hard drive. According to the report, the feature, test under the codename Project Cronus, in 2022 will be exclusively available to subscribers of the recently introduction of PlayStation Plus Premium tier. There you go. If you're playing for the high-end tier, you can stream your games from the cloud. PlayStation 5 will also finally get a full-fledged Discord integration that was hinted at a long time ago. As some of you may recall, Sony entered into a partnership with Discord back in May of 2021. Now, at PlayStation, it says, I don't actually need to read that. They're basically telling you what they... So while PlayStation Network account integrated launch of early 2022, the voice chat integration with Discord still isn't available, though recent leaks painted into the immense release. Now, Sony will launch the public beta for PlayStation 5 firmware 7.0 in the coming days, according to Tom Henderson. We're going to go right into the next thing for PlayStation. Last week, we talked about commercials. This week, we're talking about hardware. Leakers reveal more details about rumored new PlayStation 5 model with detachable disc. Oh, you know what? I forgot, guys. It's rumored, so by law, we have to do this. By law, we have to take it with a grain of salt. You can't just show stuff, because then people be like, I saw it on GXG, said it was real. So new details have been leaked regarding the next iteration of PlayStation 5, which could replace existing SKUs later this year. Now, rumors of the potential large upcoming PlayStation 5 change have been swirling for some time. The new leaks of the subject say that the console could arrive sooner than expected. A new update? The update of PlayStation 5 won't be a PlayStation 5 Pro or a more powerful machine, however, but it does have some key differences the potential PlayStation 5 buyers will want to know about. So the PlayStation 5 is currently available in two different models. The standard PlayStation 5 hardware and the digital edition PlayStation 5. The digital edition of PlayStation 5 doesn't feature a disk drive between the two models. Now, there's also three chassis often referred to as A, B, and C chassis, which alter heat sinks, fans, and even the motherboard. For the latest iteration, basically, Sony has continuously improved the PlayStation 5 design year by year. Now, in September 2022, it reported that the insider gamer Tom Henderson claimed that the PlayStation 5 will see yet another upgrade in 2023, which is referred to as the D chassis. This version of the PlayStation 5 is described as having almost identical hardware to current PlayStation 5s, but one specific notable change is the new PlayStation 5 won't have a disc-based or digital models, instead offering a single model that will optionally include a detachable or portable disk drive to connect via the USB-C port back of the console. So if you want to buy a cheaper version of the console with no disk drive and then go out and buy the standalone disk drive to plug into your... What do you think about this, Sarge?
Do I even need to make a comment about that? Like, the way you just read it, the whole chat knows what the conversation is. Like, yeah. WTF?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Look, I'm just reading it. I'm just reading it. I know you're not being like, what am I talking about? Yeah. Yeah, they basically are taking away the hard drive or the disk drive so they can sell you a disk drive.
I mean, I don't understand.
Oh man. So
like listen, I know everyone likes convenience. I get it. Okay. But if I own a console, I want a disk drive. I want to buy a game and put it in the drive. I'm sorry.
This is new, man. I'm
sorry.
Even games are not coming out complete, and either of the consoles now.
Right now, the hardware is not complete. You can buy the system, but not the drive. But we'll sell you the drive in case you want.
Well, they want you to go digital. They want you to go digital
in case I want one.
Yeah, they want you to go digital.
So wait, they don't want to manufacture the one with the drive anymore. So they want to manufacture one digital type, but sell you the drive on the side.
That's correct. Yes.
Just GTFO,
because
man.
this pushes people. This pushes people into the PlayStation Plus service as well.
I'm aware how this works.
Hence why I just read the other article that said that you get the high level.
I got to go out and find a PlayStation 5 with a drive right now. I got to start looking.
Oh Jesus! Save your money and get a computer, would you?
I got to start getting one.
No, get a computer. Don't get a PlayStation 5. Get a computer for the sake for the God's sakes.
$500 system is nowhere near a $2,500 system. It's two different things.
$25. You could get an $1,100 computer. My
yeah,
shit's 6
it would be
old.
A paper rock.
Fine.
It'd be a paperweight.
A paperweight? What are you talking about? Chat. Tell him he doesn't have to spend $2,500. I mean, obviously you could, but all right. So
you gotta get a computer. You gotta get a real computer, bro.
All right. The next story, Sarge. Next story. A new King Kong game. I have a question.
What was the first King Kong?
I was going to say, when was the last King Kong game?
There wasn't one.
Maybe there was. Maybe there was a. Was there a standalone like movie King Kong? I don't know.
No.
I'm gonna have to look. I
don't know why you're bothering. There wasn't a King Kong.
There's got to be.
There might have been a game. There might have been a game that related to King Kong, but not a King Kong game.
Let's see. King Kong game came out for.
Right.
Oh yeah. Yep. No, it totally came out.
Yeah, what year? Was I still in college?
King Kong game. Well, I have footage here, so let me go to Google. Yeah, King Kong game release. We got 2005 King Kong video game. we have Skull Island. We have a couple. Let's see, King Kong game. All King Kong games. Peter Jackson's King Kong official game of the movie. That was 2005. I think that's it. PlayStation 2 was the last game to come out. It looks pretty good. So yeah, so there's a new King Kong game coming out, Sarge. New King Kong game. Let me read it to you. So the new King Kong game is in the works. King Kong is one of the most iconic characters in fiction. The character made his debut on the big screen in 1933 and has been a pop culture staple ever since. Now, however, he will return to our consoles soon. A reported licensing magazine, DeVito Artworks, has partnered up with the Game Mill Entertainment, Nickelodeon's all-star brawler, to produce a new King Kong game and for a variety of platforms. As of right now, we don't know much else about it. We don't know the genre or the exact platform or even when it's released. But rest assured, King Kong is coming. So there you go.
Rest assured.
Yeah, rest assured.
Rest assured.
Rest assured, in 2023, a game that comes out literally like tomorrow could be like, we're delaying because we're switching engines. But rest assured, King Kong is coming. You heard it here second.
All right, I'll tell you what. I loved the Godzilla movies when I was growing up as a kid. Okay, I love them. Like I loved them like I loved wrestling.
We used to watch.
Right?
Yeah, we used to love watching those things.
Yeah. So for me, if you were to come out with a really good fighting game,
they have one,
right? And I'm not talking about King of Monsters, which was decent at the time. It was decent at the
There's
time.
another
King
one. I
of
think there's
Monsters
another one that
decent
just came out like 2 years ago.
But if it was more of a more fluid combat system with the monsters, and you actually like Rampage, but the better version. Let's put it that way, like Rampage, but a better version.
Right.
I think that would be an amazing game because I know how many monsters there are, and that would give you a nice long time of campaign going through cities and fighting guys and unlocking guys. That would be kind of fun.
Yeah. No.
I think that would be if it was done at least halfway decent. I would actually purchase that. I love Godzilla game, but a King Kong game. I mean, if you're just trying to make a King Kong game and at the end he's climbing a building and you have to stay up there for as long as possible, like last man standing, like no.
Well, they're making another King Kong Godzilla movie, so I would assume maybe perhaps it runs out after that because I think that comes out next year. I think it comes out next year. Or does it come out this year? I forget when it comes out.
Yeah, there was a this is a fact that a lot of people don't know about, but King Kong versus Godzilla had two movies named the same because the American version King Kong wins, and in the Japanese version Godzilla wins.
Who do you like better, King Kong or Godzilla?
Are we talking about the old school version or like the new school version?
I mean, just in general, just what do you like better, Godzilla or King Kong?
I've always been a Godzilla guy.
Yeah, I like Godzilla.
I never liked the Godzilla from the Matthew Broderick version of that Godzilla when that movie came out, but I like the new one, what they have going on now.
One of my student projects when I was in film school was that we had to build. So we decided, and we made the Godzilla costume ourselves. Okay, so we made a Godzilla costume, and we made a 7-foot tall skyscraper building with collapsible shelves like inside with furniture and stuff inside there, and Godzilla could punch the side of the building and it would crumble, and then the inside would show with the rebarb and everything. And I had to do this for a student project. We had 2 weeks to do it. 2 weeks to build a costume. We had to do all the latex and everything like that, and we had to put like one of the kids inside the thing, and then we'd smash in the building. It was really cool, and everyone loved it because all of us were like, "Oh my god, we get to make Godzilla!" It was pretty cool. I don't know if I could find it. If I find it, I'll show it to you guys one day on stream. It's really bad, but it's like 20 years old. It's like 21 years old.
I'm confused, Lurker. When you say the best Godzilla movies, you can see the zipper. Don't you mean the worst ones, or do you mean like the best movie looking there is? You still see the zipper? I'm confused by that statement.
Okay, Lurker, how old were you when you noticed the zipper? Because no kid in the world,
nobody's looking for a zipper.
Goes, I see the zipper. Like nobody, right? So you were like older.
Lurker.
You're like sitting back, kicking back, drinking a beer, and you're like that scene with Leonardo DiCaprio where he's got the cigarette, he's pointing at the screen, he's like pointing at the thing, like he knows. He's like, there's the zipper. There's the zipper. He figured it out. Yeah. Was that the stock Wall Street? Wolves of Wall Street, wasn't it?
I loved we're getting on a tangent here. Just get us back on the road. I'm gonna say this last thing. I loved the Mothra Worm guy and the spider battle. The web
tag team.
That the web that they used was like the silly string of the 70s. Like, I don't know what that stuff was, but it was amazing. I wanted that. That's why I got excited when Silly String first came out. I got excited because that's what I thought it looked like. It looked like the web from Godzilla.
I remember the episode where Godzilla was protecting his son, and they were shooting him with the silly string, and baby Godzilla was being covered. He's like, He's doing
I never liked baby Godzilla.
I remember that episode so well.
The worst one is when he actually talks to the small Chinese boy.
Oh,
they actually talk.
Yeah.
When the Chinese boy is actually talking to baby Godzilla, and baby Godzilla is talking back, like, that's where I drew the line. I'm like, no.
And then when he also Godzilla pushes his son back, he like pushes him back to protect him.
Yeah.
And then he squares up.
The motions that the guy
Sarge froze.
Oh no.
Don't touch anything, Sarge.
I won't touch. Just keep talking.
Let me tell you, your screen, the face that you're paused on, priceless. It's absolutely priceless.
Great. I don't know if it's gonna recover. Keep talking. Let's go with it. I'm not gonna touch anything.
That's fine. Oh, you know what I thought about, Sarge? We're off topic and tangent anyway.
Get back on the road, man. Get back on the road.
I'm gonna go off the road a little bit more.
No, get back on the road.
I'm going off the road a little bit more because this afternoon I talked about Smash TV, right? Super Smash TV.
Yeah.
I looked it up, and someone has the rights. Williams, I think, has the rights still. I would love to get the rights to Super Smash TV and make that a video game, like a remake video game.
Yeah, but who's your audience for that?
You make it a third person. You make a third person or first person, and it's just a 4-player. You make it a 4-player co-op game, right? And you have different game modes in there where obviously you're competing against who's got the most prizes, right? The most prizes, and you just compete. Super simple, right? Procedurally generated map that it puts together,
right?
I mean, I think it'll be easy. I think it'll be easy game. Super fun. It reminds me of Vampire Survivor, or I should say, Vampire Survivor reminds me of Smash TV.
Well, Vampire Survivor is basically an old school game like that. That's what it is. Yeah. That's what Smash TV was.
Yeah, it would be cool. Hell, just remake just the old school Smash TV and put it out there. Put it on Game Pass. Be free.
I mean, I think if you did, I don't know. I think it's too old to have a revitalization. There's not enough going on in it.
It's 1990.
It would have to be done like a crazy game show legitimately.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, not like just you running around and you think it's a game show. Like, it's done up.
Oh, we lost him. Chat. We lost him. There you go. What's going on, Game and Fire? Gotta love it. All right. Since we're doing this, we're gonna have to do it. We're gonna have to fix this, because if this is gonna happen again, is this my camera? No, that's his camera. That's my camera. There we go. Copy. Paste. We gotta go this way, because I can't do that twice. We're gonna do this, and I'm gonna fix this. We're doing it live, chat, because I'm gonna talk to you while he's still away. All right, that'll have to work. Yeah, long before Sarge throws his PC out the window. So let me go over this, and Sarge will have to catch up if he's watching on his phone or whatnot. The next story I want to talk about, I talked about this a little bit. Oh, for God's sakes, we're gonna have to just stay over here. Oh, what the hell? How? Oh, wait a minute. There we go. We'll have to stay here. Okay. So the next story I want to talk about is I talked about this earlier in the week, right? I talked about Fiji CEO. Now, Fiji is a company that's a publisher of like games like Tunic and other small independent developers, right? So Bika Salzman shares her concerns and hopes around the subscription service that could impact indies substantially, down the road. So the industry goes in cycles for indies, Fiji CEO Saltman said, tells us the discussion on last October's conference. Now, she says there's our boom cycles where there's lots of money out there and it contracts again. And then it goes into boom out again. And she says it's been doing this forever. So she's saying right off the bat, if you're an independent developer, when a new game system gets announced, the market's really good for you because you get to create the game and get it out early. They give you the dev kit early enough, and then you can get it in to the live service games, right? So she says right now she thinks the cycle is starting to contract, okay, and indies may have a harder time finding funding in a large part because we're now far enough removed from new hardware launches and typically mark the boom periods. But she adds, two really weird things are going to start happening because subscription services like Xbox Game Pass or premium tiers of PlayStation Plus. She goes on and says, because of the constrictions and the consolidations of the industry over the past 2 years and how the companies are just owned by the subscription service, my concern is because the libraries are so big and the companies are so prolific with huge user bases that they won't need us, she says, in the future. So the more her worry is, like, this is not happening like overnight, okay? But her worry is because Microsoft has like 48 studios right now or 38 studios, and then after they pick up Activision, they'll have like 46 studios or whatever it is. So she's talking about that once these companies, like, because PlayStation wants live service games, right? Xbox is getting their live service games and other first-party title games to put on. They have independent developers. They have big AAA developers, AA developers. Once they get enough games out there, they're going to all put them on the service. They're going to have less reason to have indie titles. Now, right now, indie titles are really good for people, okay? You can go find some really good indie titles. This is how, like, Hades got it, Among Us, Valheim, lots of little things like this. This is how they get exposure. So she goes on and says, while Saltman is confident that Fiji can get by thanks to his established reputation, games like Tunic and Night in the Woods are among the critical and commercial successes, and the type of games it produces, she is less confident about the situation for indies in general. She goes on and says, will the budgets be enough with the higher costs of making games to be able to allow indies to keep making cool stuff? She asks, because we're turning buying population into subscription population, right? And I've said this all the time. This means we have to rely on subscription fees and buyouts. And this is the conversation I was having earlier this week, and I want to have with Sarge when he comes back in, because Starfield's coming out, and there's not going to be that many buyers of Starfield, okay? You're going to be subscription, right? It's like the buyout, which they did. They bought Bethesda for $7 billion, and they're putting Starfield. Now, this is a AAA game. Now, for these guys, for independents, right? So it says, in general, subscription buyouts don't pay for that many years of team's development unless your team is very small. So let's put it in perspective. Now, let's say you're working on a team. You're making Tunic. I'm making Super Smash TV. I'm an independent developer making it by myself. I get the money up front to make the game, and I can survive, and I can thrive off that because I have a small team, which is just me. But now you're talking about 20 or 30 people or 50 people or 100 people making independent games, and the budget becomes a lot smaller, right? So what happens is a lot of independent developers, and I'm giving my own kind of a analogy or examples here for you. So let's say she makes a game, I make a game, and I'm like, you know what? To make my money back and what I need to make for the profit and making enough of my time back, I need to sell 100,000 copies. Well, I can put it on the streaming service, right? But I'm not going to get any sales of that, okay? So Xbox comes out, or Microsoft or Sony comes out and says, hey, how many do you want to sell? I wanted to sell 100,000. They're like, great, we'll give you a check for 200,000 units. And I'm like, holy Christ, that's great, because that's double what I thought it was going to be. Now, that game could go on to be a smash success, and that looks good on that streaming service, right? But if you doesn't make it, then you're out the money, right? You're not successful. So it's good for developers to see it early on because there's less games, more people see it, more people give it a shot. But as the years go on, as more games get made, as more first-party titles or umbrella underneath the studio get made, these guys have less and less. It gets more saturated for them. She goes on and says subscriptions are both awesome and terrifying at the same time. It could go either way, and worried most for the smaller indie teams who maybe don't have an early foothold as creators. They may not have the space and the money to make more than one game. She particularly is concerned about what kind of a source of value the subscription service platform holders will place on indie titles. She goes on and says, if your service has a majority of people just play one game on it and subscriptions do better with live service, would they be able to justify the reasonable budget for this other project that would also have a fraction of players compared to something doing huge portions of numbers on the service? That's the legit math question, she says, because you don't know how it's going to fall at the point. You're almost deciding who's going to be on the service and who's going to be allowed to keep making games based on the value of artistic creative direction or something rather than the monetary value of the project. So there's a lot to unravel here and a lot to unpack here, and this is what I've been saying the entire time. Now, obviously, she's talking about the independent developer. I'm talking about just games in general as the game industry goes, right? We look at Game Pass and we think it's a great value, which it is a great value from looking for a part. But in the long run, Game Pass or any other subscription service is going to ruin the gaming industry as a whole, because it's going to get oversaturated. And I've done my comparison with like Spotify. I've done my comparison to Netflix. I've done my comparison to all this stuff. So Sarge is back. All right, Sarge. So I just went over.
Don't say it. Just keep talking.
Okay, so
I'm with you.
I'm done. So if you were listening, so what do you think, Sarge? What do you think of this as independent developers and how it gets saturated and how they have to make so much money and the fraction of money? Like, what do you think of this whole thing and how this industry turns basically what it is to what it's going to be?
All right. So currently I don't believe that there is enough revenue in the subscription model for the growth that they're looking for. Their whole idea, it's one giant mashup now. They got rid of the instruction manuals. They got rid of the discs, right? So you've increased your profits by about 16.5% to 22.5%, depending on the game. Now you want it to be streaming, right? So now I don't have to buy the game at all. I'm just giving you money every month for the games that come out on a system. It's not sustainable in the way that they want to grow. You cannot keep the studios funded if what I'm giving you isn't an actual product and I'm relying on people paying a recurring monthly payment every month. Now, maybe they're looking at they're trying to look at video games like other companies look at the cable company, right? It's something you have to have. It's going to the house. So if you want television, you have to pay X number of dollars, right? That's kind of like what they're headed towards or what they want to happen, right? Like if you want to have games at all, you have to have this. This is it, right? And then once I have you there, then I say there's this tier, and this tier, just like there was back in the day when you say, do I have the HBO tier? Do I have the Cinemax tier? Like, or whatever, same thing. But currently, as what they want, they don't have enough revenue to do what they want to do.
Right.
It's disturbing because you're basically taking away the ability for a development team to want to work towards a goal where they only have to give out mediocrity as opposed to trying to do their best work, because not because they don't want to, but because they're tied to a contract that says we have to release this stuff in X number of days or X number of months, and that's it. Like, we don't get to make a game and sell a game.
Right.
I have to make content for you to consume, and then that's what we're bound by, right? That's why you have so many people leaving these main companies to start their own, right? It's just not sustainable. I don't see how this works. Well, honestly,
the problem here is like if you're an independent developer and you make a game for Steam, people are buying your game, and you might, let's say,
no, they're maybe buying your game.
Well, no, but what I'm saying is, if you put it on Steam, people are buying your game, right? They're buying your game. If they see you, they're buying it. If they like it, they're like, oh, I'll buy it, and they give you the upfront cost of, let's say it's a $20 game. Where if it's on Game Pass, you get zero. You get $0 from that game because you gave it under contract, or you took
under contract
some sort of money from.
You took a lump sum up front,
right? And if it's a hit like Among Us, right, that came out of the blue 2 years after it came out, all of a sudden they're making a crap ton of money. But if it's just a regular indie game that's not getting, it's getting pushed down the list, people don't see it, whatever reason, all of a sudden the same month that you dropped on Game Pass, a AAA game dropped on Game Pass as well, so it gets drowned out. Now, there are people that look for independent games, indie developers, but for the most part, indie developers are not going to be able to compete with this, because if they're 1, 5, 10 people working on a studio, they can make money. But if it's 20, 30, 50 people, they're going to struggle, and they're going to ask for bigger budgets to work on their games, and then they just get tossed in. So it's almost like working for minimum wage, right? Because you're making a game, and then you're trying to get it out fast enough to put it on the streaming service, and then you're just giving it to for that up sum if you don't have any microtransactions or a live service game, and you just make a game, sell a game, but you're not selling the game anymore. You're giving the game to the streaming service of PlayStation, of Xbox, and you're not getting anything. Yeah, sure, you're making up money up front, but that doesn't cover it. She even said most of the time it doesn't cover the cost, because it all depending on how many people you have in the studio. So this, to me, looks, obviously right now everyone's like Game Pass is awesome, but let's say 5 years from now, or the next system comes out, right? The next system comes out. We'll be 7 years into this system. The next system comes out, whatever that is.
I would like to make a point there that the next system coming out is going to be the last system.
Well, right. Well, with the next system that comes out, you got 2 years into that, and then it's convoluted, and then it's gone, right? And then these indie developers, what are they going to do? They're going to have to make a separate standalone box that people are just buying indie games from. Do you know what I mean? Because at that time, Sony and Xbox are going to have so many studios underneath their umbrellas, 20, 30 each. They're all making first-party title games. It's just going to start saturating their own live service model.
But that was the whole problem with the Steam. Steam had a bunch of crap on there for years, and it took time for the community and the business guys to get together and say, listen, you basically saturated the whole thing. There's just a bunch of crap on here. Nobody cares, right? So then it became like this system, whether or not your game was good enough to be on Steam. Like, you submit your game and your idea, and they okay it or not, instead of it being like this flea market of just trash. No offense, but some people can make games, and some people are just trying their best, and it's just not good enough, just like any other position. But what's happening right now is the beginning of that. If there are only 100 games that show on the Game Pass page, then that means you got to be good enough to be on the 100. Right. And if more and more people start going the route where, well, if I don't go on Game Pass, then I'm not noticed, then the only other option you have is I've got to go to PC, right? I'd rather just be on PC than try to fit on the 100 list. I can at least get on PC and be in the Steam store under a category of people who like to surf Steam and just look at the categories.
Right.
But I don't see how what they're trying to accomplish is sustainable. Would have to.
It's not going to be.
No, well, I think that there's this battle. I think what they're looking at is that there's this battle within where if they get it to be what they want is that it's going to be in your TV and it's a service, or you have a dongle and it's a service. There's no more console itself. So the deciding factor in this tech battle is the fact that is the rumor that we heard months ago about their ability to transfer data via the web in those large amounts, and that's starting to come to pass. If that is true, if that technology is being worked on right now, and that is the truth, that they can transfer that much data that quickly, then there's no need for consoles. Right? That's the deciding factor. If the stories we've heard about that whole thing about what they're attempting to do. Terabytes of data via the internet, and I'm thinking to myself, well, I don't understand how that would work. Then that would say to me, honestly, is that all internet is being held back on purpose, because there's no way you can make that sort of jump with the existing infrastructure that we have, unless the existing infrastructure we had could do it and they just didn't allow it. But now, because terms have changed, and what the corporations need to do now in order to make more money is they need to have that data transfer able to go to homes in order for them to continue growing, and all of a sudden, miraculously, it works. It's a little sus,
Right.
little, right? But currently, where we stand, I don't think Game Pass numbers and Game Pass subscriptions is going to warrant the number of studios that they want to have on board that are consistently making content, as opposed to buying a product.
Right. Well, when I look at video games, when I look at all these streaming services, I don't care if it's Netflix or if it's Game Pass or whatever. It's so mind-numbingly like you look at the covers. Okay, it's like being at GameStop. You know, you would step back away from the wall at GameStop so you could see all of the cases, right? And then you look at the cases and you would look at the artwork on the cases. It's almost like looking at YouTube and whatever thumbnail catches your eye, right, type of thing. And then you look at the cases and you're like, oh, this game. You pick it up and you turn the case over and you look at the synopsis. That's the process that's happening now in Game Pass and PlayStation Plus and whatnot, right? And Netflix. You constantly just scroll. You're like, all of these movies, if it's not in the top 10 in Netflix, you're scrolling through like documentaries and all these other independent movies, and you're like, I don't know what's good or not. And then you're watching the trailer. And by the time you sit down and pick a freaking movie, okay, it's 20, 30 minutes has passed, right? Well, now Game Pass and PlayStation Plus, the same thing. You're going there and you scroll all the way down, then you got to click A to click on the thing, and it brings up another screen, then you look at the video and see if you like it or not, and then it's just absurd. And the more games that come in, the more independent games come in, and the big titles come in. The big games are bringing you to Game Pass. The Starfield, the Halos, the Forza Horizons, the Sea of Thieves, and then all the other mixed games that are in there. The games that are like 2 years old, 3 years old, that are now on Game Pass because they're on their life's end of whatever, and they're just trying to get as much people to play it to get onto Game Pass. And then there's the independent games that no one sees, and they're like, why would I play this when all of a sudden they put Assassin's Creed Odyssey on here? Why would I play this when all of a sudden they put Starfield on here? You know what I mean?
Okay, but do you, for an example, do you look at Ori as a game that should be on Game Pass, or could that game not stand on its own as a normal retail game?
Well, because of the Ori's a weird one because it's an immaculate game. It's a fantastic game, right? It won awards. It won everything. It's the outlier.
It's not an outlier. It's a quality team.
No.
Making a quality game.
No, well, it's like Tunic, right? It's an outlier. It's not the norm of every other independent game that's coming out, right? That one shines. That one is almost like a AAA indie game. You see what I'm saying? Like that's gets raised to the top because it's so good, and people are like, oh, you got to play Hades, you got to play Tunic, you got to play Ori. Those are the outliers of the industry of the indie games. But
it shouldn't be an outlier.
But it is though.
But the way you speak about it, they should not be the outlier. That should be the staple.
No, of course.
This is what we're striving for.
No, but what I'm saying,
these are the types of things that we're looking for people to make, and those are the games that we put on Game Pass.
Right, but to sift through that, right? There's plenty of games out there that are indie games that are beautiful and great.
But there's only 100 on Game Pass.
But you only get to see a certain amount, and unless someone from somewhere, if Skill Up plays a game and says you got to play this game and opens the eyes to other people, you don't see those games. You see what I'm saying? You need outside sources to promote those things because they're not promoted on the streaming services they're on. They're just another game in an ocean of Game Pass. Okay, instead of being a shining bright star sitting out there going, oh, you got to play this. They're like, nope, here you go. Here's another game. Like every day you look at it on the internet, they're like, this is what's coming on to Game Pass. This is what's leaving Game Pass.
Okay, but let's back up a minute. So what was the road for an indie developer before Steam? Like, where did you go? Where did you go to sell your game? You'd have to basically make the game
You have to make the
yourself
game. I mean, that's how all games
and
were.
retail sell it somewhere at some store.
Sure. Yeah, you
So
do
the
limited small
limited
runs.
runs,
Yeah.
right? The positive effect of Steam was the fact that independent developers had now a market to go to where that people could actually see their game outright. Okay, that's the whole point of Steam. Game Pass is not the same. Game Pass is not the same. Game Pass is showing you we're trying to establish value with these 100 titles in order to entice you to be a reoccurring monthly consumer.
Right.
That's the difference,
Real,
right? If I was an independent developer, I wouldn't fight to get on Microsoft's Game Pass. I'd want to get on Steam
right.
to actually sell my game,
Right.
right? Because at least at that point you would know where you stand. However, I see the convenience that if your game is good and it's noticed by Microsoft and they say, "Hey, come to Game Pass," and they give you a big chunk of money up front, that changes your life,
Right.
right? It changes your life. The problem is it now, are you the one-hit pony? You take your winnings and you go do something else with your life, or are you contractually obligated because of Microsoft that if said game does well, then we have to fund the next project and you have to make it? Like, we don't know that part of it. See, I think Steam has the better consumer positive side of it, where I go there to get my game noticed and let's see if it sells.
Right.
It's a true test of my character. It's a true test of my work. Whereas if it fits the box that we're looking for, then let's get it on Game Pass and give these guys a contract. Right? These are the kind of things that you have to look.
Real quick, Cripsy says indies feeling like they can't compete would happen if subscription services existed or didn't know. No, the difference is Steam. Sure, they make Valve owns Steam, and Valve makes their games for Steam. But Steam is an open platform where people can make games, and you can search and sell and find games pretty easily. All right, and there's lists of games, but they do a really good job of Steam for independent developers. Where Microsoft and Sony, that's in-house, right? That's going through a gate to get onto theirs, and they're building up the walls with their first-party titles to put them on their streaming service, right? So their first thing right now is we'll take anybody to put them in. The conversation from the CEO of Fiji is that down the line, when Microsoft and Sony have all these companies and they have so many studios where they don't need the independent developers to fill that void or that space anymore on their streaming services, because they'll have all their other games. Because as they buy up Bethesda and Activision, all the past games in the past just get dumped into Game Pass because backwards compatibility, play the old games, do all that stuff. Right? Which is just more stuff from years past on top of the new stuff that they're releasing, and it buries the independent developers going forward. So the only way the independent developer survives in that form on the console is by selling their property or getting bought outright, which is what the developer or the publisher said. Right? So this is why she's sad and also happy, because it's good, but then it's also terrifying.
Yeah, because you're by doing what they believe is good right now is not good for the health of the industry in the long run. You're getting the quick fix now,
right?
But it's not sustainable for the future. I don't see listen, I don't believe in giving somebody money for nothing. It just makes them lazier. If you don't work for what you're supposed to do, if you don't work hard for it, and someone just gives you money and you know you're under a contract, then it doesn't matter anymore. You can do less.
Right.
I'm under a contract. I'm getting paid regardless. I don't have to try harder. This is a normal human thing. And this is going to be a recurring story that we do all year long. If the game is not funded by a passion project of people who want to make a game that they believe in, and they're just told to make content because we've got to fill a void, Okay, it kills the art of the game.
Right.
It kills the art of the industry. We're just trying to make platforms that sell digital products. We are no longer making games. And that's the pushback you're getting, not from me and not from us, not from a consumer base, but from the people who actually make video games. How many people have left massive studios to start their own?
Right.
How many?
Right. Well,
A lot.
Yeah, they don't
A
want the
lot.
bureaucracy of it. All right, we'll move on to the next one. The next story, real fast, a quick one. Right, those of you that want to play Monster Hunter Rise, the specs that are coming out for these systems. Okay, Monster Hunter Rise hits Xbox Pass just weeks time, which is now tomorrow, ahead of launch. And Capcom has revealed some of the information about the game is will run across all Xbox console versions. The game resolution specs are pretty much as to be expected. Xbox One and Xbox One S is 1080p. Xbox Series S is 1440p. Xbox One X is 4K, and Xbox Series X is 4K 60 frames or 1080p at 120 frames. So there you go. So unfortunately, it says the team is yet to confirm the rates of any version except the Xbox Series X, where players will have the option to choose between 4K 60 or 1080p at 120 frames, as long as the display supports high refresh rates. The team does stress that all the announced frame rates are targets and not necessarily 100% lock on all times. So there's that. The next story I want to talk about is Ubisoft claims Beyond Good and Evil 2 is still in development, right? This game we just read a couple of months ago it just passed the world record of the longest game in development, right? So falling rough a week filed with game cancellations, another Skull and Bones delay, Ubisoft provides a bright spot for fans by confirming Beyond Good and Evil 2 is still in development. And the French company appears to be facing a tough patch following the news that this week, as upcoming pirate-inspired Skull and Bones was getting hit with the 6th delay. And the new game, alongside Revelations, is also Ubisoft's also canceled 3 unannounced games, putting their total to 7 over the past 6 months. The bad news continued to pile up on Ubisoft. Also admitted that the sales of Mario Rabbids. Oh, we don't even see that. So there you go. So there's no news, and that's a quick news because Beyond Good and Evil is still being developed. I think it's funny because the way they showed it, it was running on the Unreal Engine 4. And now the Unreal Engine 5 comes out. I wonder, Sarge, do you think they're switching over to the new engine? Or do you think they're still working on the Unreal Engine 4 and are going to release it to come out?
No, I don't believe this whole switch over from an Unreal Engine 4 to 5. I don't believe it. If it's something that's that radically different, that we have multiple development teams switching games from Unreal 4 to Unreal 5, for what reason? I don't see how keeping a game over anytime you don't release a game, you are basically paying developers for nothing. Right? You're still working on a game that's almost done, but now you're changing over everything from Unreal to Unreal 5, but meanwhile you have no other product in the pipeline. You're still waiting for something to come out, right? You're burning money, right? A development team, you have to have a release date, you have to have a timeline, you have to have a budget. These are all things you have to have for things to keep moving. Otherwise, you're trapped in development hell. AKA name 10 games that we all know about that ended up in development hell.
Right.
Right? You have to get games out. You have to get them out. I don't believe that they're doing Unreal 4 and Unreal 5. I believe that the theory of the game was sound at the beginning, and I think that they got conflict as the game progressed and they didn't know where to go with it. And so they got caught up in who was right and who was wrong. It's too many chefs in the kitchen, and they could never agree, and nobody on the top made a decision. And so now the game is just sitting in limbo because they have no direction to go in. We already know about 4 or 5 games had the same problem. Some made it out, and some didn't make it at all. Even though they released, they didn't make it.
Well, I would say I don't even think they're using the Unreal Engine. I'm just trying to
well, whatever engine they're using. No, I don't believe that they're swapping engines.
No, I just want to make sure we're they're using the Jade engine is what it's called.
I don't believe that.
Yeah, so they're not using the Unreal Engine. They're using Beyond Good and Evil 2 as an upcoming action adventure video game developed by Ubisoft, published prequel and beyond developers. Yeah, it says the Jade engine.
Listen, it follows exactly the same plan that every other game is having a problem in Ubisoft. They have leadership problems, they have development problems, and they don't make decisions on time there. Things get dragged out for months, right? I don't know if they need some kind of cleanup. I don't know if they need a new CFO or CEO, but there's a lack of leadership in the company, and the games being delayed and or canceled over the last 2 years, the number is so high that you can't dismiss the fact that the stock price is coming down because nothing's going to come out. Why are you investing in a game company that's not releasing games?
Right.
Right? So what are we trying to accomplish here? Right? Once again, if the object of Ubisoft was to make a game and sell a game, there wouldn't be a problem. They'd be making games and releasing games, probably 2 or 3 a year. Everything would be fine. But the mentality of the industry now is, I'm trying to sell you a platform that sells digital goods.
Right.
And whatever they're trying to accomplish on Ubisoft's side, these ideas that they have for this game, not every game that you make can have this digital store in there that's going to make you all kinds of money because your game isn't good enough to be played with anyway, right? Every game can't be the same. Think of the universe now. Every game you play has a store in it. Every game, right? Every game. And you can only get the currency in the game if you didn't want to spend real money, if you spent hundreds of hours in each game. Otherwise, you have to pay real money. So how does that work? I only have so much time. I can only play so many games. So if your mentality is Ubisoft is, I'm not releasing a game unless it's a live service game, is what they keep saying, then that game better be hella good, right? For you to want me to plug in and play you every day and give you money.
Well, going from Ubisoft to another Ubisoft. So Ubisoft is making Skull and Bones. Skull and Bones has been delayed 6 times, potentially 7 times. Now, according to a report, right? So report says that Ubisoft has to complete Skull and Bones due to an agreement with Singapore government. Okay, according to the report from Kotaku, so take it with a grain of salt. Skull and Bones cannot be scrapped as part of a deal with the authorities. The companies exchanged for generous subsidies and required to hit a certain hiring quota and launch original IPs in the next few years, having an imperative that the title gets shipped by hook or by crook. Final Look notwithstanding, the other reason can be attributed that the game's shift to a live service approach that proves to be an important, lucrative part of Ubisoft's portfolio in recent times. So they have to sell this game because they have subsidies from the government, okay, of Singapore. So I wonder if it'll come out later down the road, if it did the exact same thing with Beyond Good and Evil 2, hence why it's been in this 15 years development type of thing, right? So what do you think, Sarge? So Skull and Bones is basically an obligation game, right? It's an obligation for them to get it out. And this is why they're stuck. Because you wonder, 6 delays. And we're all like, why don't they just cancel it? Why don't they cancel it? They can't. They can't cancel it. They have to get it out. It's an obligation to Singapore.
Yeah, but see, the vocabulary in the industry is very important because everyone wants to throw words around. Okay, here's and I've said this many times, and I'll continue to say it. Okay, it's not 6 delays. It's not 6 delays. You know when you're close to being done. Right. It's not like you're working on something right, and all of a sudden someone comes to you and says, "Hey guys, thanks for having your head down into your computer for the last 18 months, but I just wanted to let you all know that we're done." Like
surprise!
No one, nobody's working, and then all of a sudden someone surprises them with an email that says, "Hey, by the way, we're done." Like, when you're coming close to the end. And not to mention the fact that the last 3 months of any development cycle is the testing phase. So during the testing phase, if you're done or not, right? So the fact that they do this delay tactic thing is purely for the investors, right? Because they're looking for return on money, right? So if I invest in your company, and I say in the beginning when I have these discussions, when I loan you the money to make this game, right? When we loan you the money to make this game, when is my return?
Right.
When is my return? And they tell you, okay, this is our normal cycle. This is what's going to happen. We're looking at about a 5-year turnaround. We're looking at summertime, whatever. Okay, great, right? So that's the money I have. This is my return on investment. So now I'm waiting. So now I'm at the date, and now I'm told that we had to push back, and it's a constant number game now about when we're going to release, right? That's not for us. right? That's not for us. By the way, if you say nothing and then the game is done and then you say something, there's no delays, there's no issues, there's no nothing, right? When you know the game is done, you just tell us, right? To give a date when you don't know when it's actually going to be done is only trying to help out just those guys back there. The rest of us don't care. I personally stopped listening to release dates. I don't care. Right? Because I know 90% of the time now it's all words, right?
Yeah.
You know when the game is done.
Games
I'm done listening
like
to
the day
it,
before
man.
was 2 weeks out. 2 weeks out the day before, and they're like, yeah, we're delaying it. Starfield had a hard date, and then they're delaying it, and now we don't know what's going on there. So yeah, I mean, obviously as a talking point on podcasts we bring it up, but
of course it is. But
when a game comes out, it comes out.
How? Right. How?
Right.
How is it? Okay, so when someone tells me it's delayed 6 times, it hasn't been delayed at all, right? You're not done with the game, right? The guys, I'll tell you who needs to get their hands cracked in the door, are the guys who keep coming up with the dates. Like, because obviously the guy who comes up with the date, like, is not within the realm of developing. He's just some poor guy that he goes, I need a date, I got to tell him something. I need a date, I got to tell him something. And they go, we don't have one for you.
Right.
Well, I have to tell them something. I'm obligated. That's my job. My job is I have to give them a date. I said, well, we don't have one for you. So you go ahead and make up whatever you want. And then he just makes down some number. And then when the number gets close, like, we can't hit that number.
They just throw it. They have Tuesdays and Fridays up on the board, and they just throw a dart. And then they they take Tuesday, Friday, and then they throw a dart at the number. And they're like, yeah, it's the second.
So let's play devil's advocate. Let's go the other way around. Do you actually believe, as a human being on Earth who has a job and has been given things to do and deadlines to do them, do you believe you don't know when you're done with something?
No, they definitely know.
Do you believe that there's a group of people that are working on the planet right now who are working towards a goal but don't know when they're going to be done?
No, that's because look, I worked on movie sets, right? We know that if we have a 100-page script to do, we know every day how many parts of that script we have to get shot, right? And as the days go on, as the weeks go on, you see, like, you have to cut certain things, you have to add certain things, you have to rewrite certain things. But as you're going, you're like, we have 14 days. We know we're done in 14 days, and we have 100 pages to shoot. Regardless of the stuff, we know we're done in 14 days. Once we're done, then it goes off to post, right? If you get a phone call and it goes, hey, we need to do some reshoots, then you come back on. But for the most part, you know you're done when you're done with your part of the project. And then it goes to post, and then the company knows when it's done with post. They have it there for 20 days or 30 days, whatever, to do it in post, and they know when that's done. Because everything is down to the minuscule of budgeting, right? It's down.
And why is that? Because you only have a finite amount of finances.
Yes.
Right? There is a budget listen, Ubisoft doesn't have a bank above their head that just pours money in a bucket and they just keep paying people to do nothing, right? You have to have a product.
Right.
You have to have a budget. Businesses don't run without a budget. So the fact that we're going to have some kind of discussion about whether or not a delay is real or not is not for you. A date on the year on the calendar is for the investor and the guy who invested money in the company.
Right.
The rest of us are waiting for a product so we may enjoy said product.
Right.
That's it. Right.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
Delay 27, delay 35, whatever date you have, I don't care. I don't care anymore. As a matter of fact, the guys who are doing it now should be just removed from the company. Just take them out.
I think that the problem is also, though, when a delay happens, 1 delay, 2 delays, 3 delays, and then the game comes out, and if there's any problems with that, they're like, what were you doing on all these delays? What were you doing? Weren't you freshening it up or flushing out the stuff and making it smooth? And it's just not that way. It's just not that way.
It's not.
Yeah.
Listen, the rest of the world all works in the same universe. But for some reason, the video game industry is just on a different dimension.
Right.
We can't understand how things work in the gaming industry. Coding's hard, got it. Deadlines are hard, got it. But the fact you're going to tell me that you don't know when the game is ready or you don't know when the game is done, because once again, even when they give you the email and they surprise you and they tell you it's done, you still have 3 months of testing.
Right. All right, next story I want to talk about real fast. These are a couple short ones. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 is officially 2022's best-selling game. Elden Ring is the runner-up, and Madden NFL 23 takes bronze. Now, I don't know why I'm shocked about Madden Okay, I don't. I don't know why I'm shocked because they don't have a list. They don't have the actual list here. Here's some other ones that came in. Um, God of War Ragnarok and Lego Star Wars Skywalker Saga take 4th and 5th place, respectively. And Pokemon Scarlet and Violet take 6th. And FIFA 23 takes 7th. Pokemon Legends. Now, here's the thing. We know, and we can speculate how many sales they have here, Sarge, because we know Pokemon Scarlet and Violet had sold 10 million copies in the first.
There's a lot of kids. There's a lot of kids.
No,
man.
I understand that. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet sold 10 million copies in 3 days. Now, Skywalker Saga is 5th place, ahead of that. So that means Skywalker Saga sold over 10 million copies of their total sales in 2022, which is pretty good. And then Ragnarok passed that. So we're talking 10, 11, 12 million copies sold or whatnot for those. And then you go to NFL. I'm assuming they sold like 20, 25 million copies, right? Because we don't know what the actual numbers are. Elden Ring probably sold somewhere around 25 to 30 million copies, and Call of Duty probably sold around that as well, right? So 2 Pokemon titles in the top 10. Yeah. So
there's a lot of kids, man.
Yeah, well, lots of grown-ups as well.
And by the way, the kids don't care about glitches. They don't know about them.
Right, it's just fun.
Parents just buy them a game.
Yeah, it's just fun.
That's it.
Yeah. So that's the short story there. The next one I want to talk about real short, Scalebound, right? So Scalebound, I have a video that I'm going to probably launch this weekend that I'm putting together right now. But Scalebound is a video game that I've been talking about since they canceled it, right? I said that Microsoft, watch the phone next to the thing, Sarge. Scalebound, I said, is still alive. This is before anybody told me it was alive, before any articles came out and told me it was alive. I knew it was alive, and this is my theory of why I thought it was alive, because Game Pass. Microsoft wants titles and IPs, and they had this IP that they were working on, and they put it off to the side, and they went, well, you know what? It was 80% complete. Now, I don't know if they're restarting Scalebound or if they're taking the exoskeleton of it and then bringing it back to life. But obviously, take it with a grain of salt. It's not official. But Scalebound ended in 2017, and then they said it was alive again. And then in 2020, they talked about how Microsoft was making 2 Dragon games, but they didn't say it. And the rumors were, obviously, one was Scalebound, and then another one was something else. And now the rumors are starting to go around again saying that Microsoft is awakening Scalebound. This makes perfect sense. Microsoft is looking for first-party titles to throw into Game Pass. This game, people wanted this game so much, they could probably it's another 4-player co-op game. At least it was when they were originally, right? Makes a perfect good time to get onto Game Pass. Just another first-party title, big-ass dragons, another thing to entice you to get Game Pass or whatnot, right? So to me, Scalebound is going to be a mediocre game at best, but it's just another title they can throw out onto Game Pass to fluff the numbers, fluff the games that are on.
But what's the game company that makes Scalebound?
It was Platinum Games.
All right, so now think of it this way:
they make Bayonetta and other ones.
That's fine, but you have to think of the numbers, right? So you're able to make a game 80% of the way, then stop it. Meanwhile, the company can still stay afloat without selling that game, right? Which goes to tell you how much money these companies have to have in reserve in order to keep the company afloat while they decide whether or not this game's coming out and what year it's coming out, and to keep things moving. Right. So the last Bayonetta game that came out must have did pretty well, right? Otherwise, this game would have came out in some version because they needed to make a sale. They needed to get revenue. So if they decide to shop around and Microsoft does decide to pick it up and give them the bill for it, right?
Look,
it wouldn't matter to them because what's that? Oh, right. I'm getting $300 million a month for doing nothing but twiddling my thumbs. I think we could dip into the piggy bank and get Scalebound on Game Pass.
I look, they make a lot of good games. They made Metal Gear Rising. They made Bayonetta 2. They made Transformers Devastation. They've done Star Fox.
Those are all good games, by the way.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutants in Manhattan. They Bayonetta's Fall, Bayonetta's 3 is coming out. They have plenty of games that they've made in the past. And Scalebound, I think, is going to be another game. Like I said, I don't think it's going to be this massive success game. I'm not taking anything away from them. I just think it's just another game that they could put on Game Pass. It's just another first-party title that they can throw
Scalebound, the way it's described, fits Game Pass's model.
Right. So let me see if we have another. All right, Hogwarts Legacy. Right, Hogwarts Legacy. I'm excited. There's 2.5 weeks left of Hogwarts Legacy. The art book got leaked. I'm not going to show any screenshots because they'll pull it down or whatnot, so I'll describe them. They've already pulled other people's things down. So they showed some UI of the character screen where you put your inventory and whatnot, right? So they show your talents and stuff like that. We've seen it before, but this particular one showed inside the book the character was wearing a Quidditch outfit. Now we know that Quidditch is not in the game now. Right, in this rendition of the game, it's not in, and a lot of Harry Potter fans were disappointed because they really want Quidditch. Now, I've had a theory saying that maybe they'll bring Quidditch down the line later. Maybe it'll be some multiplayer DLC. I just feeling that this game is going to have something down the road as well. But anyway, so it was a factor that Quidditch was in the game at some point, and they had to get rid of it because the game was so big, so massive. Right, they also got rid of 1/4 of a section of the map. Right, the map was so big that because they had to get rid of.
Rumor or fact?
This is fact, right? So they got rid of a part of the game of the map because the memory. There was memory problems with the game because it was just so massive, and they had to figure a way to. So what they did was they cut the content of that map, which could be DLC down the road potentially. The Quidditch thing could be some sort of game mode or DLC down the road. I'm not trying to get anyone's hopes up. I'm just saying what it potentially could be down the road. They could just scrap it and you never see the light of day. They also had to scrap some of Ravenclaw's. So up to this point, we've seen all the companions for all of the houses except Ravenclaw. And people are like, where's Ravenclaw? Well, now we found out that Ravenclaw was cut content because they just didn't have enough time to flush it out, right? So they've done so much meticulous of the world building of this and the intricacies of it. And I was talking to you last night when we were playing Division 2, talking about how the attention to detail in Division 2, the layering of the garbage and the detail of the rooms, that is what I've seen so far in Hogwarts Legacy. That's what it reminds me of. Like, the attention to detail that Division 2 of Massive Entertainment did, okay, is what Portkey and Avalanche Software is doing for this Harry Potter game. Like, as they're walking through the hallways, you see the detail, the structures, the stonework, the pictures, everything. It looks really, really good. And I'm not even a Harry Potter fan. I'm a video game fan, and I like the Harry Potter movies. So I'm interested in the Hogwarts because I like Red Dead Redemption. I like these open world type of games like this. So they also showed like the Great Hall in the art book, and in the art book it shows that the Great Hall is decorated like Christmas time. So obviously there's some sort of seasonal thing that goes through. Now this doesn't mean it's a live service game in any way, shape, or form. It is a single player game as we know of right now. Down the road, I think that they're going to add some sort of game mode or something along the lines of, there's just possibilities of dueling, right? Like the dueling could just like you jump in, quick match duel type of thing, keep yourself busy, do your room of requirements, go play some Quidditch type of stuff. Quidditch to me, I said it in one of my other videos, they could make it like Rocket League, right? Rocket League is a simplistic, like think about Rocket League, it is Quidditch. Okay, but instead of flying brooms and throwing the I forget what the little ball's called.
Quidditch.
Well, no, it's there's the Seekers. There's something else. I know it's Quidditch, but the ball has a name. I forget what it is. Anyway, when you play the game, just think of the Rocket League, and they could be a standalone, a snitch. Thank you very much, Dupless. Right, I knew it wasn't Quidditch. It's a standalone game. So if they wanted to log in, so let's say you log into Hogwarts Legacy, you could continue your game, and this is my idea, by the way. This is my thought process. You could hit continue game and go into your single-player aspect of the game, right? Or you could just scroll down and go to game modes, and maybe the game mode would be co-op, maybe it would be dueling, and then maybe it would be Quidditch. And then you go to Quidditch, and then you go into the game, it would match make you into the game, or you play with your friends, you play against AI, whatever. And it could be a standalone type of game mode that they comes down the line later that you could pay for. I don't know. I just thought it was interesting that it was once in the game, but now they pulled it completely out of the game. So what do you think, Sarge? I know you're not getting Hogwarts Legacy.
Not day one.
Where does this land for you? Just the game, your excitement level, what you think the game is going to come out. Do you think it's going to be obviously a success? And when I say success, not financially, I'm talking a success between like the game comes out and it's a complete game. It's not broken, buggy. It's not a Cyberpunk. It's not a Fallout 76. Where do you land on that?
I mean, I don't get excited anymore. I'm a more practical person in my old age. Not to say that I don't find joy in a video game, but the controls and the combat system have to be fun and easy to pick up in order for the game to do well in the long run. If it's something that I'm having fun with, that I'm actually learning the spells and the controlling and the movement of the character is done well, the game will do well. If it's a clunky magic system where you find it cumbersome to learn how to do things inside the game, then it's better off being a single player adventure game than a combat kind of game. Right. That to me is like one of the deciding factors for how long you'll play it for, especially since the structure of the game is done in looter fashion, in which case you're going to be grinding a long time to find gear. So if the game loop is decent, but the combat is not, right, the struggle becomes you just don't feel like doing it. Right. So I would need to see, and I'm sorry to say this, not a structured video of somebody playing, but somebody playing the game live. Like, you show me how you move around. Like, the guy's actually moving, not like we saw in Anthem and the rest of these games where they talk like they're playing the game right that second, but meanwhile it's all scripted and it's been videoed before, and they make it sound like you're happening right now. Ooh, look how cool it is. That's what I want to see, right? If it's a looter shooter done in Hogwarts, I've got to see the combat. I've got to see the controls. I got to see how the game moves. Like, that's a deciding factor. The rest of it to me is cake, right? I'm going to walk around and be inside Hogwarts. Cake, right? Cake. If it's done graphically well and it's fun to walk around and find all the little incidentals and the hidden things inside actual Hogwarts Castle, all the Hogwarts guys and Harry Potter fans are going to love it, right? But for a long term, I want to play this game for a long time. That's number one.
Well, they speaking of long time, they actually came out and said that the game is probably going to be between 35 to 40 hours of single player, and it's going to be 70 hours if you do 100% completion. But it also changes. WB did this with Gotham Knights. Like, if you play the game with Batgirl or Red Hood or Robin, it's a little different. So if you play in House Slytherin or Gryffindor or Hufflepuff or Ravenclaw, it's going to be a type of, the main story is going to veer off a little bit, branch off, but then it comes back to the ending is going to be basically the same, right? So
it's the attitudes of the characters, the houses they come from. It's a personality traits.
Yeah.
Like the four houses is basically like an old school personality test from back in the day. Whether you're like sanguine or melancholy, like it's a personality thing.
Yeah.
Being in one of those houses is a personality trait, right? So if the game is done that well, where my character fits that build and I can go through the story in that kind of personality, kind of like the good and evil versions of like Mass Effect and games of the past, I'm excited to see how it works.
They also said that the difficulty you can change at any time, and that there's mini games in this as well. So there's mini puzzle games, and if you don't want any hints, or you can have it on the hardest difficulty where they won't hold your hand like God of War, okay? Or you can put it on the easiest setting where basically, so it's trying to do a balance where, let's say you're doing a puzzle and you're like, this is too hard, you switch the difficulty and then it becomes easy and then you move on. They're not trying to stop anybody. They're helping people with disabilities and other things, so they've made that much easier, more game friendly, you know what I mean? More approachable to a lot of people. So I think that's a good move as well. As far as the loot system goes, there is loot. We looked at it the other day, and we knew about this about a month and a half ago when they showed the loot. So there is, green, blue, purple, orange gear levels. and you can do traits on those gear levels up to tier 3, I believe, at least what we saw. But then you can also upgrade those things. So let's say I have a purple, I don't know, chess piece. Okay, whatever that chess piece is, it's purple. I can upgrade it 3 times. Now, what we don't know is if you upgrade it 3 times, does that purple go to the next level, or it's just leveled up 3 times? So you have a purple chess piece that's upgraded 3 times with the trait 3 on it, and that's it, and you have to go find a different one, or does it level up and you get pieces? Now, there is a loom inside the game where you make your pieces and get the traits, and there are beasts that you collect and put them in your room of requirements, and then use the beast materials like their hair, their scales, or their fur, whatever it is, to use to upgrade your stuff on you as well. So that's pretty interesting. Yeah, I think that's about it. I like the way they're marketing the game so far. They're showing us stuff, but not showing us too much, right? There's a lot of stuff they showed us, but they're also keeping a lot of things secret. Another thing, Hogsmeade, right? And I thought this, I forget what video I watched it off of. I think it was Raptor. They showed Hogsmeade, right? They showed the town, and they showed in the art book, there was like 40 buildings within the town itself. And there was ones that were shaded, and there was ones that were glowing, like yellow. And apparently the ones that are yellow are ones that you can interact with, which you can go inside and search and stuff. And there was like about half the houses inside that town you could go in and explore or search or interact with. And I was like, wow, that's actually really, really cool. So I hope there's more, because that's one of my pet peeves. I know it's not really make or break for games for me, but like you run around Division, okay? You can go into a lot of places, but there's still a lot of places you can't go into, right? They're blocked
because they give you a taste of it,
right?
Otherwise, it'd be monotonous,
right? Well, that, and I think the memory would go crazy because of all the other interior details that they have to put inside the game, right?
I would love to see a documentary just on the making of Division, just to see programs they use to add the layers of detail that are in that game.
Real quick, I want to go to chat. He says, why haven't we seen any previews of Hogwarts as of yet, or first impressions? Stephen Wright says. I think the reason is that we're not in that gap. I think the first week, like within 1 week and a half, you're going to see early people get their hands on it, review copies. There's going to be that the NDA gets lifted and stuff like
Hopefully.
that. That's when you see that type of stuff. Now, if we don't hear that, that's a little bit off, right? If they don't show you certain things, or you can't play on a PlayStation 5, or you can't play on the Xbox Series X, or
they're only allowing on playing on PC
or something like that, right? That would be like a red flag for me. So we have seen plenty of previews of what it is. Obviously, nothing live, but even if it's in live form, they can still be predetermined. Like they could have invited a bunch of people right now to record footage, but it can be predetermined what they could record, type of stuff. We won't know until it gets a little closer. Krebsy says, I think the game is doing the right thing by presumably releasing what they believe they can handle and as quality standards that they want. Right. He also says, master the single-player world and the systems, and they either add on to the game or make a sequel to those things. Right. And obviously, you're in year 5 of your character, so theoretically, you would think that they would make Hogwarts Legacy 2, which would be year 6, and then Hogwarts Legacy 3, which would be year 7, or this could turn into like a live service model down the road, and they just input year 6, type of thing, like a Madden would.
Well, and I don't know Harry Potter's universe, but how long do you go to school for?
7 years. 7 years.
Okay, so
you start in 5.
Wouldn't it stand to reason that you would do that on purpose because you'd want to sell a sequel and you'd want to finish your time at Hogwarts? Like, isn't that the whole point? Like, wouldn't that be part of the marketing? Like, I'm in the school for 3 years or 4 years, and then that's the first game, and then the second game is the ending years, and a big thing happens, and kind of like the movie, kind of like your version of the movie that you get to play in.
Yeah, but think about this: if you're making Hogwarts, and then 2, and then 3, the map is the same, right? So you're gonna be going to the same places and the same castle. It might get a little monotonous year 6 and year 7, where they might open up other areas, but you're still going back to the same castle. You're still going back to the same.
No, I agree. What I'm saying is, if you're there for the first 3 or 4 years just to say, but you already go to so many locations, you don't get the other locations.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Until like year 6 and year
5,
7,
6, and
right?
7.
You go to different classrooms and different things.
Yes.
Yeah, I get it.
So then at the end, you've seen it all, type of thing.
Right. All right, we're gonna move on, guys. If you like the show, please hit that like button. There's almost 40 of you guys here. We only have, I think, 20 something likes hit. Make sure you hit that like button. It helps the channel grow. It shows people that, hey, you like it. Maybe other people that what you're watching, they'll shoot out to other people, so it gets more people in here and whatnot. Helps the channel grow. So there was. I'm gonna skip this story. I'm gonna tell you what it was real fast. Basically, Starfield, Hogwarts Legacy, Redfall, Arc 2, all these games on Steam got their dates changed, and the reason for this was that it was a hiccup on Steam's side, right? It wasn't anything that Starfield was getting delayed or Redfall was getting delayed. It was just a Steam hiccup. This is what happens when they do the updates type of thing. It says coming soon. They put it on there. So a lot of these games that had dates or don't have dates or whatever, it would change to coming soon. So people started thinking that it was coming earlier than not. Steam's second most anticipated game is finally going to show some of footage just a month before it launches. Hogwarts is number 1. Number 2 is The Day Before. Now, The Day Before has come out and said that they're going to have a little event, and we're going to see 10 minutes of actual gameplay footage. Now,
risky.
It comes out in March. A lot of people think this game is fake. A lot of people think this game, there's something off about it. They think there's some, the other shoe's going to fall.
Well, it's based on the facts of the company, what they've done in the past. That's why.
Right.
Not because people are making stuff up to try to shit on the company.
Right.
Well, they're basing the information.
There's a lot of red
past.
flags. Yeah, there's a lot of red flags. Right. So reports. The next one. The reports of Google and NVIDIA concerned about Microsoft and Activision's deal here. So in a case of the NVIDIA specifically, the PC hardware and AI giant didn't fully oppose the deal, and reports say instead the companies just stressed they need the for equal and open access to game titles. Now, Google, according to the report, both Google and NVIDIA told the NFT that the FTC, sorry, that I said NFT, feel Microsoft could gain an unfair advantage in the market for cloud subscription or mobile gaming. Now, acquiring Activision Blizzard would enable Microsoft to compete against these companies through innovation that would benefit the consumers. Microsoft President Vice Chairman Brad Smith has said in December that Microsoft wants to offer consumers the option to subscribe to a cloud gaming service and lets them stream a variety of games on multiple devices for a reasonable fee. Now, should the acquisition ultimately go through, Microsoft would have become an owner of some of the industry's biggest franchises at World of Warcraft, StarCraft, Overwatch, Call of Duty, and amongst others. And Microsoft did announce a 10-year deal with Nintendo that could bring Call of Duty back to Nintendo hardware such as the Switch. So why do you think Google, I mean, obviously they're worried about the mobile market, right? Because they're the leaders of that on that section, and Candy Crush is on their phone. And all of a sudden, Microsoft pays $70 billion, and now they own one of the biggest sales. And I think Google's afraid that they'll remove it off of the Google phone. Not that the Windows phone is coming back anytime soon. It's like, I think 3%. No, I'm sorry. It's 0.2% of the market. It's like non-existent, right? So I don't think Microsoft's coming back with their own phones out there, but people still use those phones. But they're worried that they're going to take away that cash cow that's coming in, right? And then on the other hand, NVIDIA, same type of thing. They're like, I just want to make sure it's fair, that you're doing this.
Okay, this is the kind of conversation that has no place in business, right? Google doesn't make anything. Google is taking money from a customer or taking money from a business that's selling through them.
Right. Well, you are the currency. Yeah.
Right. My game is being sold through Google. So Google makes a cut of whatever that game makes. So now the people who own the game take the game off Google and put it underneath their own service that they have. It's their game now, right? So Google's upset. The term not fair in business never flies.
Right.
So if it's not fair, Google, then maybe, just maybe, you should make your own game. Right? I'm tired.
They couldn't make their own
system.
They couldn't make their own system.
Tired of listening to this argument. Okay, this whole fair, not fair thing. Okay, the last 40 years that I've been paying attention. Okay, nothing's fair.
Right.
Right. Companies eat other companies. People get fired in January every year. Okay, this is what happens. So if you don't like that, you may not be part of the competition anymore. It's because you don't have a game in the fight. right? You're just collecting money. Apparently now companies like to collect reoccurring revenue for things that they don't own and then cry when they're not part of their ecosystem anymore. Okay, it tells me that nobody really wants to do anything. They just want to collect money.
Right.
That's what it seems to me.
Well, Paul, you got to remember though, in an article about 2 years ago, Phil Spencer said he's not worried about PlayStation. He's worried about Google and Amazon, right? Well, Google has their store, and sure, you don't have to use their store, but Candy Crush and stuff is on their store. And if Microsoft buys it, they can do what they want with it, and that's a huge chunk of change that if they decide to move it, Google would miss out. And they're all battling for this. Who's got more trillions of dollars? You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so let's all agree on one thing. Candy Crush is basically monetized Tetris. Can we all agree?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so because Candy Crush is monetized Tetris, does nobody else can make a Tetris game? Can nobody else make one? Is it just this one?
They don't want to put the time in.
Because it's on so many devices, we can't maneuver. I can't get my game onto it. Everyone loves Candy Crush. Well, before Candy Crush came out, somebody said, "Hey, why don't we make Tetris and monetize it and call it Candy Crush?" And then that guy made $1 billion.
Right.
It's like, so it's time for somebody else to pull their head out of their ass, okay, and do something, right? Nobody is stopping these companies from making their own games. Nobody. And by the way, Candy Crush isn't some difficult game to make. Okay,
no,
it's Tetris.
There's tons of games like
so
that.
If you can't find the ways to market your new game, understandable. But to claim that somehow a acquisition of two companies coming together that has the #1 rated game is now going to influence you somehow, then obviously you weren't part of the issue.
Right.
You were just there collecting money innocently in the corner. So sorry, Google, that you feel bad about this.
Google is okay with giving like Activision 30% of the money because they're not in the same ballpark as Google and Amazon and Microsoft, but Microsoft is in the same ballpark as Amazon and Google, right? So now they get an advantage and they're taking more money. They're like, well, we're trying to become the trillionaires, the best company in the world. You see what I'm saying? This is what it is. This is why they don't want them to get the power of that, even though Google
all about
just
money
abandoned the gaming platform because they literally just shut down their gaming platform.
It's all about money and power. By the way, how well is Amazon doing, I wonder? Right? You don't think they have enough money to come up with a studio? We got guys who are leaving studios with their own money and trying to build a studio from scratch with the people that they know. Amazon meanwhile, collects money on a daily basis that would rival third world nations' GDP. Okay, and you think that Amazon can't put together a team of guys to make a game?
They made the Amazon studios. They have multiple games, but they also canceled multiple games. Right? New World is doing very well for them.
Oh yeah,
I mean it is.
In terms that they understand, it's doing well for them.
Well, no, for a company that has never made a game before, and they came out. This is their first MMO.
Well,
now they're banking because they own Lost Ark in America. They own Lost Ark.
That frog,
right? They own Lost Ark over here, so they're making bank off that. They own New World, and they're making other MMOs as well. So
Amazon's doing fine.
I'm talking about gaming.
No.
I know what they make.
Amazon could buy Sony, burn it to the ground.
Right. Well,
and they'd be fine.
So
and
could
they'd
Microsoft.
Be fine.
Yeah, I looked it up earlier. I looked it up earlier today. Microsoft is worth almost $2.9 billion, just shy of 3 trillion. Oh, I'm sorry. They're 2.9 trillion with a T, just shy of $3 trillion. Okay. Sony is worth 105 billion, right? They could literally pay Microsoft has the cash, $100 billion in cash ready to go. Who we giving money to? Right?
Yeah.
That's the difference.
This is a separate discussion because the big tech conversation can go on for hours.
Well, I want to talk about the next thing because there's layoffs happening with 343. With Bethesda, with Coalition. Microsoft is in the midst of right now paying $70 billion to Activision Blizzard for new studios, right? Halo, which is the flagship title of Microsoft. I don't care if you like the game or not. The reason Microsoft exists right now, Xbox exists today, is because 21 years ago or 20 years ago, Master Chief and Halo was on the scene and exploded, okay? And now here we are 20 years later, we have people that work for Xbox, Phil Spencer himself, and I like Phil Spencer, but when he said Halo's franchise won't make or break because of what we're doing with Halo Infinite, I was like, what are you talking about? That is your game. Like, when you think Xbox, you think
Not anymore.
Halo. You
Not anymore.
You think Master Chief. And they've just thrown it out the window. And my question is to you, Sarge, they're spending $70 billion on new other people's stuff instead of investing in their own stuff, right? Bungie made a fantastic series, and they made 343 and said, here, take this. Instead
here's the golden goose.
Right.
And they said, ooh, delicious.
Right.
And they cut its head off and they ate it.
And they couldn't do anything with it, right?
And no more eggs.
And then Gears of War, the company left and they gave it to the coalition and said, here's Gears of War. And these companies are doing nothing. They're shitting on these brands that they have. And it's mind-boggling to me because, look, I get businesses have to grow, and I get they have $70 billion, and they're like, yeah, that's just last year's spending. We have another $70 billion to spend on somebody else once this deal goes through, right? Because it's Unicron. It's got to keep continuing eating to survive and make this as it goes along.
What about the fact that the Xboxes that are being sold in Japan?
Yeah, China.
China. What about the Xbox that are being sold in China on the back of the box?
Right. On the new systems that are being sold.
On the new systems that are being sold right now, Halo's not on there.
No.
It's
Starfield. Starfield's on there.
Starfield's on the back of the Xbox box.
That's correct. Not Master Chief, not the IP that brought Xbox
so explain
to
that
life.
To me.
Yeah.
Explain that one to me.
Well, that's my thing, right? They've invested $7 billion into Starfield. So obviously they're going to push that because this is their franchise now.
Right.
But it's not their franchise next year. You see what I'm saying? It's now because they're trying to sell Game Pass. Game Pass is what the future is. That is the franchise IP. Game Pass. It's not Halo. It's not Forza. It's not Sea of Thieves. It's not Starfield. It's not Redfall. These are all just games on Game Pass.
Right. They're just things now.
That's it.
They're not the brand. It's whatever we need right now.
Right. So they fired majority of the campaign, single player campaign people for 343.
Because they don't need them.
Halo Infinite was supposed to. What did Jason Schreier say? They got rid of 2/3 of the game or something like that, where it was supposed to be an ongoing game that they kept putting campaign stuff in, and now they just basically wiped out the campaign. So obviously, Halo's not going anywhere, Sarge, because it's not going to make or break the franchise, right? So I don't think they're going to fold and go under. Halo, that is. But do you think 343 is done? They're going to be a support studio, and when they bring, because it's going to happen, when Activision gets bought out by Microsoft, because it will happen, and they bring in Treyarch or Sledgehammer, and then they make them make the next Halo game. And do you think 343 just helps them? And do you think they're going to take that Activision, one of the Activision studios, to make Halo? Or do you think they keep Halo with 343 and kind of give it away, and let them try to revive it for a second time?
I never really understood the whole decorum when it comes to the inter-office politics of your employees at this level. If I gave a studio my brand name game, if I gave you it to work on and told you this is our brand name game, we need you to work on the next games, and you failed 3 times in a row and you couldn't get it done, at that point I have to remove you from the project. I have to put you in some kind of punishment role of doing some kind of mindless coding on something else. I have to do something. You can't shit on the brand that built the company and expect that you're going to work on some special project, right? The fact that they lost the campaign, people are fired. Listen, as far as I can tell, over the last few years, I've been watching businesses up and down because I'm following the markets now. Is that January is the firing month,
right?
After the holidays are over and after everyone's had their fruitcake and opened up their gifts, it's a 50-50 shot that you might go away. because January is when they have to fire a bunch of people. So when they do the fourth quarter numbers, everything looks really good, right? And if I don't need a group of developers who make the campaign for Halo, because the campaign is done,
right?
I don't need you anymore. Whether or not you're contract work or you're part of the team, if you're dead weight, then you go someplace else. If you're really good, they'll move you to a different division. Otherwise,
right.
That's standard business practice, right? I find it a little coincidental, right? And I'm only saying this because I'm looking at the numbers, not because I know any other information. I find it interesting that Microsoft is letting go 10,000 people. Meanwhile, the acquisition of Activision Blizzard is going to bring in roughly 9,800 people.
Right.
So I find it just coincidental.
Coincidence? I
just,
think not.
Just coincidental.
Yeah.
Right. It's a tough game now. It's like a war of attrition with me and watching video games, because you have to understand, from my point of view, I have watched gaming from its birth. Okay. I have watched this kid grow. All right. And now the kid, all right, is a 20-something-year-old nightmare who can't be controlled, wants everything, and is not willing to work a normal job. Okay. And it's very hard to keep track of him, right? He's all over the place. Hopefully, with a little maturity and a little bit more respect for actual work ethic and money, that this industry will come back around. But what's going on right now hurts me, because it's all about greed and money, and it's not about the art anymore, right? This is the part that's killing me, right? I'm watching beautiful IPs that we have grown up with, that have made some of the best games on the planet, be flushed down the toilet because it didn't fit the narrative for their online service platform.
Right.
It's sad, right? If a game's going to die, let it die gracefully, or put a bullet in its head and just end it. But this using it as a prop up to push, I'm trying to sell this service. I'm going to let's put up Grandpa in the corner here. He looks good, right? We put him in a suit, put him up in the corner, and he looks professional, right? Right? Let Halo die. If you don't care about it, and obviously you don't, then let it die, and let some other genius artistic company who wants to be noticed make a game.
Yeah, it's just a corpse. It's just a corpse of Master Chief and the Halo franchise over there. Now, there are saying that some of Bethesda employees. Now, I haven't read anything. Maybe something else came out, chat. Do we know what part of Bethesda got let go and how many people from Bethesda got let go? My theory is, if anyone from Starfield got let go, it's probably the people that worked on stuff early on.
In the early on,
not the people that are finishing it out, right? I don't think these layoffs are going to affect Starfield's launch in any way. Whenever it launches, if it's early launch or if it's mid-launch or if it's launched in November, I don't think that's why it's going to. Bethesda is the community side, I believe. Okay. So, yeah. So I don't think it's going to get. I don't think it's going to hurt Starfield, especially since Starfield is the new franchise of the face of Xbox right now, right? And that's just it. I think that they know where that game is coming out. I don't think the Bethesda stuff. I mean, obviously, maybe Jason Schreier will put something else out and we'll know more. But as of right now, I don't think we know anything about Bethesda and how it's getting impact as we do the campaign aspect of 343 for that. So we'll move on to the next story. Rockstar sends gift to Red Dead Online player with 6,000 hours of Stadia. Now, we did a story about this kid a couple months ago where we found out that Stadia was going to get closed, which it closed yesterday, and he had 6,000 hours of on Red Dead Redemption 2. And he was pleading, like, gotta let me move my stuff. And then Rockstar came out and said, yeah, we'll let you move your stuff to your chosen platform. Once he did that, now, before it closed, Rockstar sent him a whole big care package. And obviously, this is just pros all the way across for Rockstar, because this is just one big advertisement for them, being cool that they let the kid move his stuff over, cool that they gave him a whole bunch of gifted stuff. So he says, so Rockstar sent me a nice box full of stuff, recently appreciated for 6,000 hours I put into Red Dead Redemption on Stadia, and I'll be unboxing it on stream later to show. So he shows a whole bunch of gear that he got from Rockstar. So good for Rockstar. Those people are going to be making a crap ton of money shortly once they announce Grand Theft Auto 6. Just announce Grand Theft Auto 6. They'll be like, cha-ching, cha-ching. It's going to be a wonderful sight for them. Here's a funny story, Sarge. We always talk crap about Call of Duty, Activision, and stuff. So listen to the words I say here, okay? So on January 19th of 2022, Vanguard Season 2 was delayed from February 2nd to February 14th to fix issues and content, okay? Fast forward 1 year, Battlefield, Modern Warfare 2, on January 18th, which is one day before last year's thing, Modern Warfare 2 Season 2 delayed from February 1st, which is one day before the last delay of last year, to February 15th, which is one day more than last year, to fix issues and add content.
So tell me you don't believe that there's set windows for these news points that they keep saying every time. Right? You think it's coincidental? It's always around the same time? You think that's just coincidence? Right? Does your delay of a game only happen in the middle of January all the time? No. It's because they have reevaluated, they're looking at where they stand, and they know they can't hit the number. And so now they have to make the announcement, because that's probably like halfway through the quarter or halfway through whatever set thing they have on their calendar. And so that's when they have to decide yes or no. Right? Mark the day and time. See you next January.
Next year.
We'll see if the same thing happens.
Here, let me look at the calendar real fast. I just want to look at the calendar. Let's see. January of 2024. So this was on February 1st and February 2nd. So I'm gonna say February 1st next year to mid-February. The next Call of Duty, whatever that is, will be Season 2 will be canceled or delayed by a couple of weeks because of fixing.
I mean, is there one coming out next year? I thought they were skipping a year.
I don't know. It's just a joke. George,
it just goes to show you that there's structure. There's structure within the company. There's structure within. Yeah. So if they make announcements based off of whether or not they're going to delay a game or not, then they know when the game's done. It's all the same. It's all the same.
Right, Kirby. So 2025. George says, "Can we talk about that 6,000 hours?" Sure. What do you want to talk about? 6,000 hours is a lot. He probably 5,990 hours of those times. He's probably looking for a deer when he was on the deer mission out in the middle of the field trying to find something. Because that's
if you're gung ho about a game, like if you're diehard for a game, I understand completely why you'd have that many hours. But let's just remember, if I do 6,000 hours and I divide it by how long Stadia was actually out. Okay, it's only been out 2 years, right? 3 years? Is it 3 years? Right?
4 years. 4 years for Red Dead.
So figure out 6,000 hours divided into 3 years. Okay, that's crazy. Okay,
Paul,
figure it out, guys. What game was he playing? What is he doing? Is he handicapped? Does he not work? He's got disability? That's a lot of game time, bro. 6,000 hours is a lot.
He's a kid.
Great.
Well, you gotta remember, 1 full year we were locked inside. You couldn't go anywhere. You couldn't do anything.
I got it, buddy.
Right?
I got it.
Yeah.
I got it. 6,000 hours under COVID. Not a big thing at all.
Yeah. Was Stadia even out for 6,000 hours? I don't know. I don't even think it was. So, I don't know if you guys submitted your questions. We have a questions section. It looks like one person submitted a question. I'll give you guys
8,736 hours in a year.
Right. And he played 6,000 hours over 4 years.
Over 4 years, right.
Well, actually, sorry. Stadia has only been out for 3.
That's right, 3.
So you have to divide that by 3.
Yeah, so that's 25%. 25% of 4 years, basically, right. He played RDR2. Yeah.
You guys, if you guys want to submit your questions, go ahead and submit your questions right now. You could be anything. It could be about the topics that we talked about. It could ask just us.
I mean, I probably did that in Skyrim.
6,000 hours? I don't think so, Sarge. You probably did max 3,000. Think how long you played Destiny for, right?
Yeah, I mean, I should use the Destiny as the point.
I played Destiny 1 for 3,100 hours in 3 years.
That's crazy.
And I played Destiny 2 for 1,600 hours.
Yeah, Destiny's a better example. That's crazy. 6,000 hours in Red Dead Redemption. He must know everything.
No, I'm telling you, he just after one deer. He was like, mission for deer, gotta hunt the deer. Can't find the deer. Oh, it's gotta be here somewhere.
Because Rockstar was like the punishment developers. Anytime you needed a deer, it would never spawn.
Right. No matter what you needed. You're like, try to find the legendary beaver. And you have to go to the beaver thing.
Oh, the beaver! I stopped playing because of that. I didn't tell you that, right? I stopped playing because I couldn't find the legendary beaver.
Yeah,
I'm done with this. I'm done.
And then you'd be riding your horse, and then all of a sudden a cougar would come and attack you out of nowhere. Like, I love the game. It's a great game.
I did tell you I never finished it, right? I told you that, right?
Yeah, you said you never finished it.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Let me read chat here. I have 10,000 hours on Destiny for PlayStation 4 and almost 4,000 on PlayStation 5, but it's the life of the game.
Right.
Meaning if you're stuck in orbit.
So we're not going to talk about you right now. We're going to just say that's a lot of hours. That's a lot of hours.
Hit Squad says I played Battlefield 4 for 1,700 hours, so it's definitely possible. Mantis says that's like 2,000 hours a year. Bro's daily cycle was deer hunting, eat, sleep, repeat. That's he's like, what are you gonna do today? I gotta find the legendary deer. Going out trying to find it. Sarge sent me a video of a guy who had so much money he tried to break the game by submitting and paying for to get to Tahiti, right? You know, because the main guy wants to get to Tahiti, so he puts in money into the lockbox or whatever. And he put in 27. Was it million or billion?
Billion.
$1
million. Yeah, and what's the guy's name? The lead guy? I forget what his name is in the game.
Morgan.
Not the guy you play. The guy with the dark hat. With the
Arthur
mustache.
Morgan, I think is the guy.
Arthur's the guy you play. I'm talking about the guy that you're working for. That runs it. Anyway, no matter the kid basically proved that no matter how much money you put into that lockbox, he always says we need more money to get to Tahiti. He's like, I just gave you. He even says in the video, I just gave you $20 million. We can go to Tahiti right now. Just load up the wagons and let's go. It's like
just need more money.
Just need more money. He's like, there's no help in this guy.
Which basically is the staple for 2K, Rockstar, and all of the industry, right?
Yeah.
We just need more money. Right, that's it.
I think we should use that as a soundbite.
I'll have to get the soundbite.
I think we need that as a soundbite.
So,
and by the way, he did break the game.
Yeah, he did.
It got to the point right around 20 million and change. It got to the point where he couldn't donate money, so he had to kept scaling down the amount of money he was donating, and he got it down to the penny. And so there's a number on screen that's a specific number that you can't go past. And when he went past it, the game broke. It started doing all kinds of crazy stuff. Like the game literally broke. It's kind of I always appreciate moments like that when someone pushes the game to its utmost limit,
right?
Well, and then
that's a game
steps
tester.
Across the line,
we all do that every time a game comes out.
Yeah,
his name is Hutch. That's it, Hutch.
Yeah, he's like Hutch. Can we go to Tahiti now?
No, not Hutch. Dutch. It's Dutch, not Hutch. It's Dutch.
Yeah. Like, can we go to Tahiti now? It's like, if we just had more money, we would be fine. It's like, so like they never what the kid was saying is they never put it in the game that you could actually win that way. Like, I'm gonna put enough money in this box and we're gonna live happy ever after. Like, that was never gonna happen.
George says that hunting pissed me off. It's so infuriating. I can literally hear the anger coming through the text on the screen. George is
it's seriously infuriating. Like,
goddamn hunting.
I see a river, I see 10,000 beavers all day long. The minute I need to find a beaver,
couldn't find it.
They don't spawn on purpose. It's done on purpose. You know what? And I didn't get mad at first because that's Rockstar's MO. Because in every Grand Theft Auto game, right? If I needed the Lamborghini on the list, the Lamborghini just wouldn't spawn. Just doesn't want. Meanwhile, you drive a Lamborghini and normally, and you see guineas all day long. But as soon as you need it for the list, doesn't spawn. It's an ongoing gag for them. So I knew it was coming, and they're like, hunt the legendary beaver. And I was like, you fuckers, I already know. I'm not going to find this beaver.
All right, let me go.
I even went to the spot on the map that said Beaver Creek, like where the beavers live. It's on the map. It still wasn't there.
All right, we're gonna go to the Q&A section of the show here. First question is Krebsy Gaming says, "What will it take for you to say that the Activision Blizzard deal isn't going through?"
Nothing. It's going through.
Yeah, I don't have anything.
Here's my question.
You can tell me that
how much money are you willing to lose, Krebsy? Is my question to you.
You could tell me that Bobby Kotick is like murdering babies, and that deal's still going through. Like, it's still going through.
Listen, the only reason, like, anytime companies do this, right? Remember, anybody can find anything wrong with a company, at any time. As long as I get some people to collaborate, I can find reasons to stop anything from happening in a company, right? We've seen it happen. We've watched the Me Too movement. We've watched the COVID movements. We've watched all this other stuff that's happening. If a company wants something done or not done, we see the lawyers get involved right away. The whole reason why that they're putting these roadblocks in the way, okay, is basically to give the other companies around time to figure out what they're going to do and get some things in place. So when that deal does go through, that Microsoft doesn't run amok with their so-called monopoly that they think that they have.
Right. Yeah, the unions can come through. The EU can show what they want. They're all gonna bitch and moan. But at the end of the day, do you think that obviously the deal's not going through yet, but do you think Microsoft would make a deal with Nintendo for 10 years for Call of Duty if they didn't think they were getting the deal through? Do you think that Microsoft would get, coincidentally, by the way, they would get rid of 10,000 people so they can make room for 9,800 people, right? Do you think they wouldn't go through since they knew this deal was going to happen? Do you think that World of Warcraft now actually has actual support for controller support from Xbox? Okay. Obviously, it's also for PlayStation, but you could also do the Xbox controller now for World of Warcraft. Do you think they would actually have all these things happening if it wasn't going to go through? I don't know. I just feel that hold your britches, because as soon as this deal goes through next year, they're going to buy some more people up as well, because Unicron has to eat. He just keeps eating planets.
Look at June.
And he just keeps moving up.
And by the end of the fiscal year, June. So June is supposed to be when it happens.
Let's see. George, real quick. 30 became quiet out of nowhere. Oh, am I quiet? I don't know what to tell you. Let's see. Krebsy Gaming, yeah, volume dipped hard. I don't know what to tell you guys. Maybe it's hold on one second. I don't know if that's better for you. I didn't touch anything. There's no gain thing on. There's nothing like that. So if it's still soft, let me know. It looks like it's soft. Hold on. Let me see. Something happened. Let me go to the next question for you, Sarge. Is that better, guys? I think that I don't know what happened. So the next question is from Waterbear on Mars. He says, "How many hours do you plan on spending in Hogwarts and Transformers combined?"
That's tough.
I'm gonna tell you right now. Hogwarts, I'm gonna put about 200 hours in, and Transformers, I'll put about 1,200 hours in.
And by the end of the year, by what way? When is it coming out?
I don't know. It all depends how good it is.
I could see at least if the game loop is good, Transformers, I could see at least 500 hours.
Transformers 500? Easy 500.
Easy 500.
Easy 500. Yeah.
I mean, I'm off 2 days a week.
Right. Pump in 8 hours a day.
Right. I'm off
8 hours a week.
Yeah.
Every month.
Just do the math.
Yeah, every month. That's if you did 20 hours a week, that's 40 hours. It's 80 hours a month. 80 hours a month. Yeah, you're good.
Stealth, you weren't part of the Kickstarter thing when that thing started out, man. I think it's a $300 or $400 item. It's really impressive, right? The thing I like most about Transformers is some crazy engineer had to figure a way to make the robot turn into a giant planet. And it has everything on it, all the little spokes and everything, and the claw piece for where it eats the planets on the front, and it actually opens and closes. I think it was like $300 or $400.
All right.
I mean, you could probably find it aftermarket stuff. Somebody's probably selling it.
Next question. Next question comes from Paul's Gaming Live. He says, "You could choose only one game to play this year. What would it be and why?"
What, this game?
No, if you could choose any game, one game this year that's coming out
to play.
Yeah, you can't. Well, here's the thing: you can't say
Transformers. I don't know what game's coming out.
Yeah, you can't say Transformers because we don't know if it's coming out.
Are you talking about my dream game?
Well, it's got to be coming out this year. What game this year, Sarge, is coming out?
I don't know what's coming out.
And why would
are we going by the mythological dates? Are we going by the mythological dates?
Fine. Transformers is active. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, and it's coming out this year. It's coming out on December 30th. I don't know, whatever. Technically, it would be next year then. No, because it's coming out April 1st. It's coming out April 1st, Sarge. Transformers.
April 1st, Transformers comes out.
Yeah, I would probably reactivate. It's coming out April 1st.
I don't know. Hogwarts seems like it'd be a good game.
Man, this year's got a lot of games.
I'm afraid that Transformers is going to end up being like a bad version of Division instead of being like a really good version.
I'm going fantasy. Like it's going to be the best game ever, and it's going to be my dream game, and I'm going to be not disappointed in any way, shape, or form.
If Hogwarts is good as it looks and actually plays, if it plays well controller wise, I'd play Hogwarts this year.
Okay, look, Hogwarts. We said this last week. Hogwarts is coming out this year. Jedi Survivor's coming out this year.
Jedi Survivor is just a one and done.
Transformers, but if you only could pick one game to play, right?
For the rest of the year.
Yeah, for the rest of the year.
Yeah. All right. Well,
you could play
a mythological Transformer game that we don't know.
Right.
Or the Hogwarts game that's coming out in 3 weeks.
There's Avatar. Avatar's coming out.
You're out. You're out.
You got RoboCop coming out.
You're out.
You got Starship Troopers coming out.
You're out.
You got.
I want to play the game for the rest of the year, bro. The rules state I can only play one game.
One game for the rest of the year.
Right.
Well,
play Hogwarts.
What about if Transformers comes out December 30th? I only have to play it for 2 days. Right, for the rest of the year. That's the rules, right? I don't know. No, I would pick. If Transformers had a hard date, I would pick Transformers, hands down. If Transformers is not in the equation, I would probably pick Hogwarts Legacy, because I feel Hogwarts, you could probably walk around aimlessly in the world for 200 hours easily, right? You could just be like, yeah, I'm just going to go over here and see what this is. Like, easy. Just walk around.
All I hear from the mere mention of the word RoboCop video game is, there's going to be trouble. That's all I can hear, because no shot.
Diablo. Look,
lawyers.
I like Diablo, but I also have a bad spot for Diablo. Like I'm playing Diablo 3 right now, slowly but surely. Okay, but
where are you playing it on?
I'm playing on Xbox.
On what Xbox?
The Xbox Series X.
Under what?
What do you mean under what?
So you put the disc in?
No,
it works.
Digitally. I bought it digitally.
You bought it again?
I bought it for the first time. I've never played it.
Oh, you never had it?
Yeah, I bought it for the first time for $20.
Oh, you never had it.
Yeah, I never had it.
Got it.
I never played Diablo 3. The last one I owned, I think, was Diablo 2, which is on the 360, right?
I got it.
So
I thought you had it.
No, so I would play, if one game all year, Hogwarts would probably be a game. But if I knew Transformers was coming out, hands down Transformers. Why? Because I love Transformers. If it is Destiny but Transformers, sign me up. Right? Sign me up, because if I could put 4,000 hours into a game I didn't really like, I like Transformers. So that's what it would be.
Speaking of which, are we playing Division tonight? Because you're cutting into my Division time right now.
Well, actually, your computer cut into our podcast time because it died twice. But hey,
Yeah, but I can't help that.
well, I can't help it either. So we're going to the fourth question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, Krebsy says, "Who takes over Halo excluding the Activision Blizzard studio? Is the studio the person who left 343 taking over? You talk about Joseph Staten? No, he's done. He quit. He quit before it even got fired. He's like, no, I'm out. They told me he got insider information. He's like, I'm quitting and I'm moving to a different section. Oh, and by the way, everyone's fired. Right? I don't know who's gonna take it over.
You wait. Is the question who's taking over Halo after 343 dissolves?
Yeah, he says who takes over Halo, excluding any Activision Blizzard studio. Is the studio that the person who left 343 taking over?
I don't think anyone will. Honestly, I think they're having a support staff to keep Infinite going for a little while. Maybe after the oh my god, I can't even speak. Once they join, I think maybe one of the other studios from Activision probably will help them out and work on a Halo game, maybe. But I really don't think they're gonna. Honestly, as far
I was gonna say, he says Joe went to another Xbox studio. Is that studio Joe is going to become the Halo main team? No, I don't think so. He went to publishing. He didn't go to directing. Joseph Staten went to. We didn't do the story, but
you say Joseph Statham, and I keep hearing Jason Statham,
Staten.
Yeah, no, I know, but I keep hearing the actor.
Yeah, he's leaving the industry and returning to Xbox publishing. He's not going to another studio.
He's out. He's out that bad. He's out.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't have an answer for that one. It's definitely not him.
If they care at all about Halo, 343 gets removed from them completely, and another studio takes their place, and they do something else.
Yeah.
Honestly,
I'm not sure what studio would take over though.
It would have to be one of the ones from Activision Blizzard. I would think.
He said other than.
I'm stipulated by neither. Yeah. Oh, that's tough. That's tough. I don't see anybody else.
Yeah, because I think everybody else is already spoken for, and if you just give it to another company, they're just going to be another 343. Like they don't have the experience for it. Krebsy has the next question. He says, "Do you think Hogwarts is amazing? More articles will be written for it than they already got written. They got written for Elden Ring. Oh, for sure. I think right now, Krebsy, I think there's more articles written for Hogwarts Legacy because of the drama of J.K. Rowling's and the transgender thing and the boycotting and all that stuff. I think for sure, though, if the game comes out and it's hitting on all cylinders and it's like Game of the Year contender and all that stuff, 100% it'll surpass, because articles written, you got to think about every time someone finds something in the world or shows something in the school, or they go, oh my God, it's exactly like the movie. They're going to make articles all day long of this stuff. So 100% I think it'll cover. What do you think, Sarge?
Oh, I think once the podcasters who actually are Harry Potter fans come out of the woodwork, it's going to be 24/7 free publicity, right? I think that bare minimum, I don't think this company has to spend that much money on advertisement at all. I think the fan base who's waiting for the game to come out, as soon as they get their hands on it, will going to promote the hell out of it.
Right. Yeah.
I think
there's going to be more articles written.
Yeah.
Last question. Waterbear says, I'm installing Monster Hunter Rise on Game Pass PC. Does it release at 12 a.m. tonight? Yes, it releases in an hour and a half. So you can.
So water will be 12 levels ahead of everybody.
That's right.
Just like every other game he plays.
So that is it. Let's see. Let me go back to chat here. Bulls for Life says, yeah, I know it's big with becoming more affordable. I mean, I'm not familiar with this the cost, but I know I can be super expensive. What was that for, Bull? Stealth says RoboCop. Transformers for me, man. I love Transformers. Yeah. Krebsy says just went to another Xbox studio. No, he went to a publishing thing. Yeah, it's not in the dev team. 2 years in 343 aged Joe by 10 years. Oh yeah, he's done. Harry Potter is the most popular franchise worldwide, ahead of Spooderman. Yeah. So hands down, like I said, the Hogwarts Legacy is going to have some good press, bad press, all the articles for all the things. It's going to be there. All right. Episode 340 is in the can. We do appreciate you coming out and hanging out with us and watching or listening wherever you are. You can listen to us when I'm slowly updating throughout this month. I'm uploading 2 a week. It's going to take a bit, but I'm uploading all the past broadcasts. I missed everything from August to audio format. So I'm working on that slowly. I'm only one guy that's doing everything. So all the audio podcasts will be up to date hopefully by like mid-February. So you can listen to us on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify. That'll be updated as well within the next couple of weeks. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to help us out in any way, shape, or form, hit that like button. It's absolutely free. It takes 1 second to do, and it also pushes the channel to other people. You can also hit the subscribe button. It's absolutely free. And if you'd like to go above and beyond that, you can spend $5 for membership. The membership, what it does, you get these perks with stickers and or the emotes or whatnot. You can also link your account to our Discord. And in the future, we're going to have like member streams and whatnot. Maybe we'll do, maybe me and Sarge will do an extra like little segment for just members, part of the thing. So I'll try to give you more value. So I appreciate you very much for hanging out with us. We go live Monday through Thursday in the mornings for the daily grind. We do uploads, we do Let's Plays, and we do this podcast. There's like 10 things, 11 things a week here. So appreciate it very much. You guys have a wonderful night. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys on the next episode. Peace.
Game on, guys.
They're two brothers and gamers that have been playing games since the early 1980s. Combined, they have over 65 years experience. Join them each week as they discuss and rant about gaming and entertainment news. This is Generation X Gaming.